think about what Wemby could do as
This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Welcome to OverDrive on another beautiful day in Southern Ontario. What a 3 hours we have in store for you. I'm Aaron Karolnik, joined by my boys, Mike DiStefano, Frank Corrado. I almost forgot your name, Frank, because I don't see you nearly enough.
Devastating.
I see Al's brother all the time. We carpool up here together, but you look great. It's fantastic to see you.
Great to see you, boys. Did you guys drive up today?
We did.
Yeah?
My turn to drive this time around. My turn to drive.
How was the conversation? Did AK answer his phone? Was he cutting deals on the way up?
No phone calls. We put the phones away, and we had a nice conversation on the way up, a little pre-show meeting.
Did you guys save anything? Like we got 3 hours. Did you guys use it all, or did you save some of it?
That's the problem, I guess. Maybe we exhausted a little bit of our conversation.
No, we did not. But one thing we certainly did was establish the quality of vehicle that Al's brother drives. I mean, this guy's got a screen up there. I've never driven a car with a screen.
What do you mean a screen?
Like, a touch screen on the dash. I have never driven a car with that.
What year is your car?
2012.
Okay.
So you're just on the cusp of technology.
I'm really hoping one day I get a screen with my car.
You need that guy technology and stuff.
Yeah, I know. It is a little bit embarrassing, but we had a great time. But you learn a lot about somebody when you carpool in with them, drive like an hour in Toronto traffic. Very even-keeled when it comes to traffic. He doesn't weave in and out of lanes. This man obeys all traffic laws.
And
I'm very impressed.
Were you like that
buddy,
yesterday?
I am. You know, like when you can get onto the shoulder for cut a couple cars. That's me.
Yeah.
I am just a savage in that.
You'll get car sick in the car.
Oh, for sure.
It's not pretty.
Oh, for
401 DVP. It's gross what's going on out there.
Yeah, it is. It is. You try to avoid driving at all costs, but we're all here together for the next 3 hours.
So. Great to see you guys.
I know it really is. It really is, and we got a lot of stuff going on. The Jays are currently playing, but nobody's watching that. Everyone's listening and watching this television program because Bo Bichette's already homered. The Jays are up. Game's done. Yeah. So stick with us here on OverDrive. But we have some quality guests coming up. AJ Greer, a man who I sat beside in the press box during Game 2 of the Maple Leafs and Panthers.
Oh.
And he did leave after the second period. I think he knew what was coming for the Panthers.
Did you pepper him with questions?
We had a great conversation. Now, the problem is I never saw him again because he went into the lineup in Game 3 and never came out.
That's what happened, right? Maurice put those three guys in. It was Gadjevich.
The fourth line completely got rearranged.
Nosek and Greer. And I think some of that has to be accredited to you for what you said to AJ Greer in the press box. You know what it really came down to? He's like, I do not want to listen to this guy who's like 5'10" on a good day. Wow. Talk to me with his.
That's very nice of you to say.
Grubby little
on a great
hands.
day. On a great day, yeah. 5'10" on a great day.
I need to be back in the lineup. I can't do this again. And sure enough, he didn't have to do it again.
Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to hearing the stories because you hear the interviews with the Brad Marchands and the Matthew Tkachuks, but you don't hear from the AJ Greers as much. Yeah. But this is the opportunity to hear the real story about that $500,000 bill they got at Live Miami. Like, what's the real story there? Who's paying?
He's not going to tell you that.
I think he will. We're no boys. We are press box buddies.
Even if I think a lot of the bill comes and guys don't even know what was ordered because you got 30 guys putting in orders to multiple people. And next thing you know, it's like, here comes the bill. Someone's got an Amex. It gets swiped and no one knows what the hell is on this thing.
And it wasn't going to be Greer's Amex. He knew that walking in. It wasn't going to be on his bill.
No, that's like a few different. That's a few of the big boys have to split that one up.
Exactly. Well, Frank, you lived that life.
Did you get comped?
Not Stanley Cup celebration, but you play in the NHL and had some cups of coffee. Let's call it like the one you're holding right there. What is the protocol when it comes to maybe the rookies versus the veterans and who pays for what?
Well, so my rookie party was in Miami. We had a couple days off when I was playing for the Canucks, and initially they had capped the price, and we weren't going to be able to there was 3 rookies. We weren't going to be able to cover the entire cost because it would just have been like an astronomical.
What, 50 grand a person?
No, it wouldn't have been that much, but I'll put it this way: each rookie was supposed to pay $5,000 US for the day. And that was, our set price. And then the fine fund was going to cover the rest, right? Like whatever guys put money on the board, that's going to make up the difference. We had gone so far over budget that eventually the vets came back to us and were like, can you guys just give us like 1,500 more each just to like chip in a little bit more? So it ended up being like 6,500 US for the.
Must have been a pretty boring night.
party.
Not a lot of excitement going down.
There
in
was
Miami.
like 3 or 4 stops along the way. Like it wasn't just one spot.
Yeah, those parties again back in the day. This is what 2011 would be very different today, even than 15 years ago, 14 years ago, right? Because the advent of not advent, but cell phones and social media being so much more prominent in today's world than they were 15 years ago. Imagine rookie parties in the 80s. What were going on at some of these restaurants. Now you have to be so careful.
Yeah.
Because, if you're a team rolling into some restaurant in Miami or Vegas, there will be people noticing a bunch of big hockey players rolling in, and videos will be taken and yada, yada, yada.
It's not like, you know what happens? You know how it gets out of hand is one of the veteran guys will grab a hold of the wine list and see like an old Italian wine from the year 2000, and they're like, we'll bring that one out. And that wine costs like an exorbitant amount of money.
Right.
That's where it kind of gets out of hand. But everyone's...
The liquor bill at the end of the day is what always ends up...
Everyone's keeping it between the lines.
Yeah, as you would expect. But yeah, those are the stories I love hearing about the most. Maybe Bill Guerin can share some stories with us when he joins us a little bit later in the afternoon. Also, it's Vicky and Boko night in Montreal, not in Toronto. It's the semifinals for the men and for the women. Toronto hosting the men and Montreal hosting the women. And if Vicky can get by her Kazakhstani counterpart, whose name I'm not even going to try to pronounce, that would be a hell of a story. She gets to the final, maybe plays Naomi Osaka, something like that.
Huge.
That would be incredible. We have Brad Gilbert, who Doogie is very excited about having on the show, as are we, of course. He'll join us in the 6 o'clock hour. Man, what an incredible story that would be. And, of course, we've been seeing Summer McIntosh do what she has done now for a while at the World Championships. Now when Boko takes the baton and maybe wins, 18 years old. It's incredible. It's absolutely
She's going to win a tennis tournament amongst, and like beating Coco Gauff on the way to doing it, right? A top-ranked seeded play. It's not like she kind of had a cupcake schedule going in. Like unseeded, had to play some of the best women in the country, in the world, realistically. And again, she has to take on Osaka in the final. Like, well-deserved championship.
And it comes at an interesting time, too, because Jeannie Bouchard is obviously retiring now.
Yeah.
Like, Bianca has struggled with injuries and hasn't really been able to find the form that she had when she was winning a U.S. Open. And now there's, like, this next wave, and she represents that in a time where, like, we were supposed to be in the golden era of Canadian tennis, right, on the men's and women's side, and it hasn't really panned out, but maybe this is the next one that can turn into something and keep it going for a longer period of time.
Yeah, it still could pan out, just in a very different way than we anticipated. And if Vicky Mboko is the one who can do it and emerge as a superstar, which we've kind of all been clamoring for, that would be really, really special to watch. So we'll be watching that tonight. And last night we were all watching the Jays, and the VAR show was on, the Dalton VAR show, who I think has the most fascinating stat line in all of Major League Baseball right now. He has 6 singles and 11 home runs.
Yeah, this guy's mashing.
He just hits dingers. That's it. He is not interested in doing anything else. And yes, it's Coors Field. And yes, the elevation and yada, yada, yada. But
467
exactly.
Moonshot.
Yards, not feet. Yards.
Moonshot.
That's how far it was. Yeah.
It's unbelievable. He's got 24 hits on the season. 11 of them have been home runs. Yeah. 11 of his 24 hits.
He's like the new Adam Dunn.
Dude, watching that last night, all I could think about is how can Colorado ever be a good team? Because what pitchers would want to sign there or be a part of that team? Like,
it's a great point.
They would have to make like serious acquisitions as far as trades and drafting and keeping those players under team control, because you're not going to sign quality pitchers to make yourself a good team.
Many years ago, they signed a guy named Mike Hampton. I don't know if you remember him from the Mets, a lefty. And a lot of people are wondering, he's going to come to Coors Field. He'll continue what he did in New York. He'll be an ace. He got absolutely bludgeoned.
Yeah.
Bludgeoned. Everybody in Coors Field gets killed. Yeah. If you go there, you have to get paid so ridiculously because you're never going to get another real contract again because your stats will be so bad emerging from Coors Field. It's just an inevitability.
If you're a pitcher, like that's the old OHL where teams would call you and you would be like, yeah, I'm not reporting.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if you're a good pitcher going through the draft, if the Rockies are calling you, you have half a mind to be like, I'm not going to report. I don't want to go there.
Yeah, if you have a 4.5 ERA at Coors Field, you're essentially the second coming of Bob Gibson.
Yeah, it's not bad.
No, it would be incredible. But that team as a whole,
it's brutal.
Like it's crazy.
It's so tough to watch.
It's hilarious.
Being a Rockies fan would be difficult. Well, we talked about it yesterday. They're what? 291 runs yesterday. Was what, 6 run differential?
6. Let's do the math here.
297,
and it'll be 300 plus after today.
Probably will tip over 300 plus, and the record for an entire season is 345. So like they're within 50 runs of run differential of being the worst of all time.
Yikes.
It just must be difficult to watch. There's
some weird stuff going on right now. Like the Yankees are in a weird tailspin. Like I saw they have the same amount of wins as the White Sox from, was it June 1st onward or
They've
July
been
1st?
so bad. They've lost 5 in a row.
Yeah, like July 1st till now, they have the same amount of wins as the White Sox. That is crazy stuff for the Yankees, who like bolstered up at the trade deadline. We're supposed to be this team like on the Blue Jays' heels. They're going to get them. They deserve to be the top of the division. I don't think so.
They've all been lit up.
Yeah.
Like they went out and they got Bednar. They got Jake Bird, who they sent down to the minors after
Judge is back.
outings.
That helped last night. Where they got shut out
Every time, right?
Yeah.
Like they got shut out last night.
Yeah.
Like they couldn't get any offense. They can't pitch. The bullpen's been horrendous. It's dicey out
Boone
there.
looks
in New
like
he's
he's in rough shape too. Like you see his interview after the game,
I don't know if he's got
like,
answers.
No, he doesn't have answers. All he can say is the same kind of stuff. Like, yeah, there's issues. I believe in the team. Like, what more is he supposed to say?
Yeah, they are 6.5 behind Toronto at this moment, where the Yankees were at one point, I believe, 7.5 up on Toronto in the month of May. It's just incredible, the turnaround for both Toronto and for New York in opposite directions.
When we saw the Yankees kind of roll through Toronto, you looked at that team, and although Michael Kay came out and he's talking about run differential and all that, like you watch the Yankees play, and you even watch over the course of this 5-game losing streak that they're on, it's an unserious ball club. Like, look at how poorly they're booting the ball around. Like, defensively, in that last series when they were here in Toronto, horrendous defensively. Like, they had, 2-3 errors each and every night. And you talk about, Jazz Chisholm the other day with that very, very hideous base running gaff that he had. But it's a nightly thing. Anthony Volpe on a nightly basis is throwing the ball away. Like, it's just an unserious
Their
team.
pitching
the
is
fundamentals.
bad. Like,
Everything's bad.
It's
It's
right
glorious.
now.
And
And it's great for the Jays.
Oh, it's so
and
good.
Jays fans should enjoy it. The Jays should, like, anytime the Yankees either booted around or the Jays beat up on the Yankees, which is what they did a little while back. Awesome, because they're gonna take their licks at you every chance they get.
I was thinking about this, AK. As someone, born, actually, we're all of us from this area, I guess, born and raised. But
That's correct, yeah.
when you look at the Yankees and you look at the Bruins, do you take more solace in the Leafs beating on the Bruins or the Jays beating on the Yankees?
Oh,
It's the Jays beating on the Yankees.
What? It absolutely is not. The Leafs have never beaten the Bruins.
Dude, I'm an impartial NHL analyst.
But you know that's not the answer. When was the last time the Jays played the Yankees in a playoff series?
I don't know, but I
don't know either. The 80s?
I am a Jays fan. I'm a hockey analyst.
Yeah.
But when the Bruins lose and when the Yankees lose, what makes
Well,
you
again,
feel
it's
better?
clearly the plight of the Boston Bruins now. The season they just had, they're shipping everybody off at the trade deadline, and you hope they're going to be garbage for a long time, although I'm skeptical that's going to be the case. But the Yankees are always going to still be there. I know they had that reset a couple of years ago, but as far as I think the average Toronto sports fan and their frame of mind, the Bruins being worse than the Yankees would be much better.
Make that a poll question, Doogie. Make that a poll
listen,
question.
are we allowed to do a mini Jerry's in the summer? I think we're allowed to do that.
And include the Montreal Canadiens in this too, right? I mean, and I know you're another Montreal Canadiens. You're an everything analyst.
I'm an impartial analyst.
I know you are. You are.
Mini Jerry's, if the Boston Bruins last place in the Atlantic this year.
Oof.
What's your Jerry's on that?
Very low. I mean, Buffalo is in the Atlantic.
You don't think Buffalo could be better than Boston?
I don't.
I think they could be. I think they could be. I don't think it's likely.
It's not likely.
I think it's more
35,
likely. I think it's more
35%.
likely that Boston's a playoff team than last place in the Atlantic.
Really?
I do. I mean, they still have pillars of quality. Again, Swayman's there, McAvoy's there, Pasternak's there, and that, beyond that, there's not much. But
They don't quite have enough for David Pastrnak around him. Like,
Very
that's
fair,
a question
for sure.
Can Swayman have a bounce back year? And new rookie head coach, right? Like, I don't know. There's going to be, I'm sure, some kind of feeling out that happens there. But I think 35% that the Bruins could be last place in the Atlantic.
Listen, I would sign up for that.
Do it, but
no, I would sign up for that. I'd be very happy if that was the case. I'm just skeptical that Boston struggles to that degree, simply because the pedigree that they have, even though they're not the same team, their depth is not even close.
Or had though.
I think you're right. And you look some of the depth, like their third pair and their bottom six, it is thin.
Dude, right now,
They
if
had
you
a
looked at their
weird-
lineup, the bottom 6, like the average hockey fan would recognize 2 names, and a Leaf fan would recognize.
Like, I'm trying to
3
think of a
because
single
Fraser
guy.
Minton is the third line
Fraser
center right
Minton.
now.
That's right.
Right?
Breakout star for the Boston Bruins.
Yeah, they
Yes.
got Victor Arvidsson from Edmonton.
That's a good pickup.
Yeah,
They had an interesting offseason, too. A real interesting offseason. They got Arvidsson. They brought in Sean Corrali. They paid Tanner Jeannot a ridiculous amount of money.
yeah.
Mikey
I like it.
Eyssimont. I don't know.
I like it. That sounds like a quality hockey team. Second last the Atlantic to my eye.
35 seems a bit strong, but I'll give it a 20%.
20% chance?
Yeah,
Okay.
20% chance.
We don't have to
finish
spend
last.
too much time on it. I'm just saying it came up in conversation in one of my stop and chats the other day.
I was talking about how brutal their offseason was earlier today. Honestly, so I don't think the Bruins did anything to help themselves. And last year they're a pretty junk team.
Yeah,
So
well-
I expect them to be much better this upcoming year.
As bad as the Bruins have been, maybe will be this season, they are nothing compared to what the Colorado Rockies are. And Frank, you've played on some unfortunate teams
Last
throughout the
place
course of
team.
your career. I don't want to bring up the
That's
2015-16 Leafs, but I mean, I will say that was your greatest opportunity as an NHL player. And I'm sure there's a lot of guys on Colorado who are just kind of playing out the string. Look at all these at-bats I'm getting, look at all these innings I'm getting. That's kind of, you have to make the most of what is a very unfortunate situation.
Yeah, that's it's a weird dynamic when you're on a team like that because there's some guys who are very established in the league and this is just a blip for them and they'll go on and they'll sign other contracts and they'll keep playing. But there's like a group of guys who it's like, this is actually my chance to do something here, whether it's a pitcher or an infielder, someone has an opportunity there and you want to grab it, but it's hard, man. It's like the Jays right now have everyone bought in and everyone's on the same page and everyone's feeling the mojo and doing everything together and the star players are playing the best. And you know what that means? When the star players are playing great, everyone kind of falls in after that. If you have a bad team, it's disconnected up and down the chain and it's tough for the guys that are getting the opportunities to really make the most of it because it's just not a cohesive unit the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And Leaf fans need to thank you for Austin Matthews being
I was
in Toronto.
Yeah, I
Thank
was
you,
like
Frank.
minus 12, I think.
Thank you.
Minus 12. It could have been worse.
Could have been a lot worse.
Could have been worse.
Could have
Yeah.
been- Who was the biggest minus on that 2015-16 Leafs team?
Probably
It is amazing
would have
just
been- I would
knowing
have been
you.
up there.
Knowing you, like it's a close fraternity amongst that group of hockey players all these years later.
Yeah.
You guys are still pretty tight. Pistol Pete Holland
Pistol Pete.
and amongst many others in that 2015-16 Toronto Maple Leafs team. It's incredible all these years later that
Yeah,
you're
keep
still
in
kind of
touch
doing
with
it.
guys. I'm looking to see who the really bad plus minuses was.
Yeah, there's
I
it's
was
probably a long
minus
list.
12. There would have been some ugly ones. There was a minus 17, a minus 15.
You weren't that bad. You didn't win the green jacket at least.
17.
So.
All the guys that played a lot though were the big minuses. I didn't play that much. So anyway,
Should have been playing a lot more. Should have been playing a lot more.
boys. We're here now.
Yeah, and a guy who is not playing, just to shift over to another story in the National Football League that's going on right now. Matthew Stafford and your wife gave birth to 2 lovely baby girls just under 2 years ago, Frank. Matthew Stafford is dealing with a aggravated disc in his back. He received an epidural, and correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh yeah.
Isn't an epidural what women receive when they give birth?
Yeah.
Isn't
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
So that would be concerning for me if I was a fan of the Rams.
That would
My
be
quarterback,
concerning.
who's like 36, 37, is having an epidural fired into his back so he could, I don't know, possibly
Throw?
play sometime soon.
Listen, man, I've had a lot of injuries. I played hockey for 10 years professionally. Saw guys get hurt, back stuff, hip stuff. I never heard or saw of a guy get an epidural
Yikes.
in sports.
I've
in
never
hockey.
heard of that.
No one's
I've
ever,
never
no one
heard of
did
that
it.
before.
That's like a major painkiller, right? That's what would be.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I think the size of the needle is something like
Oh, it's a big
you
boy.
don't want to be seeing come at you.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
Yikes.
yeah. But like
Stafford.
guys, like not that they were doing it regularly in the regular season, but come playoff time or certain special occasions, like you'll get shot up with some kind of painkiller.
Toradol, right? Toradol's common.
Yeah. But yeah, epidural's a different level, man. And that's like we're in August and you're doing that. That doesn't scream like
That would be concerning.
sustainability.
And
for
they
the
still
right
say
reasons.
they
concerning.
think he could be ready for week 1, even though he's receiving an epidural at the beginning of
Well,
the month of August.
there was whispers that he was mulling retirement at the end of last year, and obviously decided he wanted to continue to play. And this is, I guess, an attempt to get out there and play. It's a way for him to kind of deal with the pain that he's suffering. The problem with Stafford is like he's had a lot of injuries throughout his career. Like he's someone who he played through a lot. Don't get me wrong, played through a lot, but like his body's taking a big toll. And I'd be concerned if I'm a Rams fan and this guy's getting shot up in preseason, like week 1 training camp.
Not even the preseason.
Yeah, like he hasn't faced any contact since last January. And he's already being shot up with some pain. Like that would be very concerning to me if I were a Rams fan.
And I like the Rams this year.
A lot of people
Kyron Williams, Devontae Adams. Like that's a legit team with a really good young defense. And they were the team that pushed the Eagles to the brink in that snow game in the NFC playoffs last year. Like they were the team by far that was closest to beating the Philadelphia Eagles. If a couple things went their way, who knows? Maybe it was the Rams winning the Super Bowl last year with Matthew Stafford. So the fact that he's dealing with an injury like that so early is a major concern.
Tough. He's climbing, like, that's not an uphill battle. If you're getting an epidural at this point, like, you're climbing a mountain the rest of the year. Like, I don't see how he plays every single week. Like, at some point, that's a bit of a ticking time bomb, but he'll have to manage that. And, like, all these guys are managing injuries, right? Like, everyone's got something going on. No one's truly 100% healthy, but at least you want to get into the first quarter of the regular season before you start dealing with things like that.
Right.
Yeah, I would say that would be a very good call because the Rams, they need Matthew Stafford healthy because you know who their backup is?
No.
Any idea? Al's brother is a very good-looking man who once took the Niners to a Super Bowl. Jimmy Garoppolo, who's going great, too. And he looks distinguished with the gray hair. He is going salt and pepper.
I'm sure Jimmy G can still pull whatever he's trying to pull down.
If you had enough around Jimmy G, could you not get that team to the playoffs?
I think Sean McVay.
If Stafford goes down early with that team, I think he can get to the playoffs, especially in the division that he's in, where the 49ers are going to struggle. Seahawks are fine, right? Like, what are the Seahawks?
They're probably
they'll be like a 500-ish team, if that. Like, they're going under like they got a new coach in there from last year. Like they're going under a bit of a different situation there, and Gino's gone now, so we'll see what ends up happening over there. But I think that it's a team that certainly should be considered the favorites in their division with Stafford, and then we'll just be competing, I guess, if Stafford goes down. But they definitely just hope and pray that he can stay together.
Yes, Herm Edwards will join us just after 6 o'clock tonight, the coach from ESPN in hour number 3 of Overdrive. You have the filter as well at 5:30, so we have a jam-packed show. Jam-packed show.
Yes.
That's Mike DiStefano. That's Frank Corrado. I'm Aaron Korolnik. You are watching Overdrive on TSN2 and listening on TSN 1050.
This year, tough just got tougher. There is no more advantage. It's straight up.
The FedEx Cup playoffs begin with the St. Jude Championship on TSN+.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
Hour one of Overdrive continues. Korolnik, DeStefano, Corrado around the table. AJ Greer will call in just a moment. Stanley Cup champion AJ Greer, who I imagine has a take on George Kittle's antics yesterday with the NFL Network. We were talking about the possibility of trying smelling salts live on Overdrive today. Sadly, that just didn't really work out logistically. Also, I'm concerned what the CRTC would have had to say about that. Would that be well received here at TSN? What do you think?
Just getting yourself ready for the show.
Yeah,
we couldn't get
it.
Was that assigned to Doogie today?
Doogie, Doogie tried though. There's a valiant effort made by Dukes, as there always is. Don't worry, Dukes, you're all good. And he tried. He went to a number of different stores. They were sold out. And maybe the stores heard about the NFL's plan to cut off smelling salts as part of their, I guess, what's allowed as far as the game goes. And George Kittle stormed the set of NFL Network yesterday. Here's what he said.
George, hello, friend. How are you?
I honestly just came up here to air a grievance.
Oh.
Our team got a memo today that smelling salts and ammonia packets were made illegal in the NFL.
Wow.
And I've been distraught all day.
Okay.
Illegal? He even said he's not practicing anymore.
I considered retirement.
Yeah. So they go ahead and bring that back for George Kittle.
Yeah, so we got to figure out a middle ground here, guys. Somebody help me out. Somebody come up with a good idea. Fred, it's on you.
Airing of grievances.
Yeah, that's all I had to get out there. I'll get that off.
Is it before every drive?
I'm an every drive.
I've seen guys like that.
I'm an every drive.
In between every play, he's
that's too much.
pulls out the sauce.
Way too much.
Yeah. Well, it feels like the energy's still out here, though. I mean,
no, definitely. But I missed those already.
Well, they haven't been outlawed at practice.
No, we don't have them out practice.
Okay, all right, just checking.
That's all right. That was my only grievance, but besides that, you guys look fabulous.
We'll
Fred,
fix it.
It's all yours.
Thank you,
George. We'll do our best to help you out with that, man.
You did great. Buddy. Yep.
Well, that's an unfortunate development.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't get the memo.
It just came out this morning, and obviously he's very distraught over it.
Wow, what a clip. There's a lot to take in, too. So, obviously, in the NHL, the ammonia package, if you don't know, but you kind of burst something open and you kind of wafts it into your nose.
You click it, and you have to make sure you click it in the middle because it's glass that you're breaking.
Okay.
If you click it on the side, you can cut your hand.
Ooh.
Then it gives you a little jolt. Just wakes you up a little bit. But you don't want too much because, I don't know, it's a lot.
Was that something you did before NHL games?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Were there guys who did it before every shift, like George Kittle?
No, before every period.
Before every period.
Before every period. Start of every period.
Yeah, the Kittle usage. How many drives would there be? Maybe 10 or 12 in an NFL game?
Yeah, more than that. Probably
there'd be
14 or so, 14, 15 drives on average, I'd say.
But
for
you know
a
what's
team,
going to happen now? Like, the team can't get it. The guys are just going to get it on their own, and there's just going to be like a black market for smelling salts within the locker room.
You think they're going to go into the back and be using smelling salts before each drive?
They're just going to have different ways of getting it.
At the very least, pre-game, halftime, they'll have it sitting in their bags, and they'll probably in the locker room give themselves a little waft before they go out onto the field.
I would say of every player in the NFL, George Kittle is the guy who surprises me least as far as being addicted to smelling salts.
You couldn't do this in the NHL, man. Guys need the smelling salts.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Guys can't go on the ice, and hockey players are very superstitious. You know that.
And I wonder if our next guest needed some smelling salts during the Stanley Cup Final. Probably did, but even without them, I'm sure he would have thrived in a major way. Let's welcome in Stanley Cup champion AJ Greer. Oh, he's got the hat on too. Is that a Calgary Stampeders hat? I love that.
Yeah,
I love it.
Hat.
All right, I love it, AJ. Thanks so much for doing this, man. I'm sure it's been a whirlwind for you over the last couple of months. Just take us through what it's been like for you since becoming a Stanley Cup champion.
It's been amazing. The best summer of my life. Just been really taking it all in, and all these celebrations with my friends, my family, and I had a little parade with my hometown. It's just been so amazing, and I really wake up every morning and look at my pictures every day and really take it all in. Realize that I'm a Stanley Cup champion. That's forever. So I'm very grateful.
AJ, take us back to when you become a member of the Florida Panthers. What's going through your head? Do you automatically think like, man, I'm going to a pretty special group, a special team, and I have a chance to win a Stanley Cup here, and it's very realistic?
Definitely. Actually, I watched Game 7 of last year's finals, and it was a pretty thrilling game. And I looked at how the Panthers play, and those were, it was a team that I had an option to go to. And it was a tough time for me. I had broken my foot in Calgary. Wasn't sure if I was ever going to be the same player as I was because of just the gravity of the injury. But I chose Florida because of the style of play they play. They were losing a couple pieces on the fourth line, and I thought I could step in and make a difference. And seeing them in that Game 7, how resilient they were, and how detailed they were in their game plan, and how ferocious they were on the forecheck. Like, that's exactly what I wanted to do, and that's exactly what I had in mind coming in, is not really moving anything major, just kind of fitting in, and kind of, you put a piece of paper in a folder and it fits in perfectly. I really wanted to put my spice on the table, but also just fit in and kind of be an addition to this group. And it's been an amazing journey so far, and I'm so grateful to have another year.
Well, you're a guy who's been in a lot of different locker rooms around the NHL, and when you got to Florida, like, was there something that stuck out as to why it's so special there? Because it seems like the culture is just top notch compared to the rest of the league.
Definitely, the culture is all of it. There are really little things that you think about when you think about culture, and I could name so many, but I think one that stands out that's small for me is the patch on the jersey. Vinny Viola, who's our owner, he's an Army guy, and I think that patch, rather than a number, kind of represents a group as one. It's a Florida patch. And also, little thing like the way these guys work in the gym and work as one are never kind of settled on being a champion. I mean, coming into, I wasn't really sure what to expect coming in after the team won already this year. And they were just so hungry to win again. Everyone was on the same page as far as just putting everything out on the line every single game and preparing for the playoffs. It was really beautiful to see. So definitely the culture on and off the ice. We have so many different personalities, but again, once you get out and you get to the battle and the thick of things, everyone's on the same page. So it's such a fun environment to come to every single day with the staff and the coaches, the players. It's been an unbelievable journey. And you're in Florida. I mean, they always talk about earn it and have fun and enjoy Florida. And that's really what we've been doing. You got guys fishing, got their boats, you got guys golfing. We really enjoy the lifestyle, but it comes with a price. And I think that everyone is signed up to really do what it takes to win.
Our guest is AJ Greer of the Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. AJ, I was telling these guys about Game 2 in the press box when I sat next to you, and you, of course, go back into the lineup in game number 3. You never leave, and you make a huge impact. Like, what was the turning point for this team? Because here in Toronto, we remember the Leafs are up 2-0. The Leafs are up 3-1 in game number 3. Marchand scores in overtime, and the rest is history. What changed with the Panthers between Game 2 and Game 3?
I don't think anything changed mentally. And the game plan was really the same thing, but I think we just had to figure out a way to be a little bit quicker with how we did things. And we had to be the instigator, and we had to be, we call it lead dog, right? So we had to be first to pucks, and we had to be a little bit quicker with everything that we did. But just how calm these guys were being down 2-0. I really didn't know what to expect. That night, we played some cards at the hotel and then on the plane the next day. And you're not sure as a new guy what to expect being down in a situation like this. We've never really faced that much pressure throughout the year compared to how big of a moment that was. And I just remember getting on that plane and you got guys joking around. It's the kind of the same energy. And they always talk about staying even keel and knowing that this series is going to go to a Game 7. So we were prepared for that. I think being in front of our fans was a huge push for our energy. And as soon as Marshy scored that goal, we were just on the same page, and we just kind of took that energy and ran with it.
So Paul Maurice spoke really glowingly about your line that enters Game 3. It's you, Nosek, and Gadjevich. And, prior to that game, I would imagine you guys are, getting ready. And, do you guys have any kind of dialogue as far as what you want to accomplish getting thrown in and bring something to the table? Or was it just, one of these unspoken things. We're just going to go in and we're going to work as hard as we can and see what happens?
No, we got off the plane, actually, 3 of us at the same time. Paul was waiting below the stairs as we came off the plane, told us we were going in as a group, as a line, and just to stick to what we do best and what we've been doing the last 20 games that we played together. We kind of walked to our cars looking at each other, not speaking too much, but we kind of knew what we had to do. And we did it perfectly. And I think it just, our energy together came in so well at the right time. And once you do well one game, it kind of transfers to the other, and then you're just on a roll and you figure out what works, what doesn't. And for us, it was just to keep it so simple that the opportunities are going to come. Just stick to what you know best defensively and on the forecheck, and set up the next line. That was the biggest thing for us. Is we talked as a line, is set up the next line for success, whether that's the other team icing it, a face-off in the offensive zone. As long as you set up that next line and you win your shift, you did your job.
Our guest is AJ Greer of the Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. So there was a lot of partying that you guys did after you won the Stanley Cup, like a crazy amount. I was live streaming the Elbow Room at times just to see what was going on.
No,
there.
you weren't.
I was 9 a.m.
That's
I
kind
do
of
morning radio.
Embarrassing, man. You
I do
can't
morning
admit
radio
that to this guy. He won a Stanley Cup.
I do morning radio. We're looking for things to entertain us. But there was this
guy's streaming Elbow Room. He's got a coffee next to him.
Yeah,
he
that's right.
He gets a beer from the fridge.
Yeah, you know me too well, AJ.
The real reason why you played so well is because you didn't want to listen to him in the press box anymore, talk your ear off, wasn't it?
You might be right. You might be right.
We had some good conversations.
We did. We had a great conversation. That's why AJ came on the show. Nothing to do with your relationship with him, Frank. We know that. But as far as this $500,000 tab that it was Matthew Tkachuk and Brad Marchand talked about, I think it was at Live Miami, if I'm not mistaken. And they said you guys got comped $500,000.
It was 11.
It was 11. Sorry, 11. Yes, my mistake. So how does that work? Take us through that night and the experience of a $500,000 bar tab. It's just like, go ahead.
Let me tell you, number 10 on the Florida Panthers does not take care of the bill. No, I have no clue. I just kept seeing gold bottles and rosé bottles come out. No, it was a great night. I think just all of it. Like, ever since we won, it was so fun to be in that locker room after we were in the locker room dancing and partying to, the best songs with all of our family and friends till 5 a.m. Next thing you know, you go home. I had an hour nap. I was back at the Elbow Room at 8.
The breakfast buffet.
An hour nap. That's so good.
I got Dunkin' Donuts on the way. I ate it up on the second floor of the Elbow Room, and then, had a beer with it. And then I was looking around and I was like, God, I don't know if with all these parties, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get, a nice trim and my haircut. Like, I look like a slob. And I texted my barber, and he actually came to the Elbow Room and gave a cut to a few of the boys.
Nice. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, so, no, it's, we had such a good time. The team just did such a great job at giving us opportunities to really celebrate and have the cup with us, and really, really enjoy it. Best time of my life. And it's just, it goes without saying, like, this group is such an unbelievable group of guys, so close together. And in every step of the way, like, we were so confident with what we were doing, and we just enjoyed it so much. I remember winning Game 7 after guys were dancing in the locker room and for 5 minutes. And then after that 5 minutes, music shut down and it was like back to business. Like, let's go. So there's a very good balance of work and fun, but we, like you said, like Marshy, Chucky, we got some guys that can go, and we got some good personalities, and just, it's so fun.
Well, and they're all coming back, right? Like Bill Zito, I'm sure, I was shocked that he was able to get all three, Marchand, Ekblad, and Bennett, all to come back, and basically the band's back together to try and make a three-peat here. Like, what was the mood maybe in the team group chat when you found out that everyone's coming back for another go at it?
Yeah, Bill's a magician, because I tell you what, we didn't know what was going to go on. And we really just, like, enjoyed our time together and hoping that it wasn't our last. And as soon as we saw Benny sign, like, the group chat went nuts. Everyone was so happy, fired up. And Benny wrote, "Love you boys." And then 2 seconds later, Marshy writes, "Love you boys too." And the group chat went insane. Like, we couldn't believe, we thought he was messing around because he always messes around, right? And we were like, "Are you serious? No way." And everyone started questioning the message, sending question marks. And then it came out. And then, of course, Eki, like, just such great guys to have. And I'm so happy everyone's back. It's almost like a AAA summer team. Like, the band's back together. Everyone's excited. And there's no, like, barely any new faces. I mean, it's going to be such a fun thing to do.
Wow. Life is good as a Florida Panther, right, Frank?
Paul Maurice talked about this a lot. I think it was after the first Cup where, you know, he mentioned some guys that maybe they were healthy scratched at times or didn't have prominent roles on the team, but they were like the center of what happened in the dressing room. So if there was an inside joke, it was, you know, just because you play 10 minutes a night doesn't mean you can't have a big personality or be who you are in that room. Is that something that you guys really take a lot of pride in? Because, you know, like, you've played on a few teams now, like, that's not something that you see everywhere. There's some teams where it's like, you're a fourth line guy, you have a fourth line role when it comes to the camaraderie in the room.
Yeah, and that goes back to the culture. No one's as big as the logo, and truly everyone's on the same level, and everyone gets along with each other. Everyone hangs out with different groups of guys all the time. It's just a rotation of who you go to dinner with on the road. And, you know, you talk about culture, another thing that really was amazing to me, as soon as Barkey got the cup, we celebrated as a team. They announced to the guys on the ice that whoever didn't win it yet is going to go first and have their lap. And I thought that was just so special. You can't wait to get your lap. You can't wait to get your hands on it. And for them to think in that moment to get the guys that, you know, hasn't won it yet, it's just a small gesture that means the world to me, right? Mm-hmm. What a moment. And it just, again, it comes back to culture and the leaders and who follows. It's really just a special, special group.
Well, congratulations on all your success. It's well-deserved. We're huge AJ Greer fans here on TSN 1050. The Panthers, you know, maybe not so much.
We like Greersy.
We like Greersy. So, again, congratulations. Enjoy the rest of your summer. We really appreciate your time today.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, that is AJ Greer of the Florida Panthers. And,
what a
man,
beauty. What a dude.
Wow, he is an awesome guy. Yeah. And, man, they've had quite the summer. And I still remember when we were talking in the press box, he just kept on reiterating. He's like, this is the best place to play. They treat us so well. We're in Florida. Everything is perfect. There couldn't be anything better than this in pro sports. And I'm just nodding my head. I'm like, oh, God, Bennett's definitely coming back.
Yeah, he's coming back.
Ekblad's coming back.
Oh, boy.
But it makes sense. And people will talk about state tax. That is a part of it, for sure. But at the end of the day, that organization is class. And the way that they treat their players, the way that they have their new practice facility, of course, everything that comes with living and playing in the state of Florida is part of it as well. It's going to be tough to beat that team this year. And those guys really have a great culture. Really have a great culture.
You know what's crazy about it? Even if they have a subpar regular season, like even if they just roll out 98 points.
That's what they had last year, 98 points.
Which is what they had last year. Like, that puck's going to drop in the middle of April, and those guys are going to turn into the exact same group of animals that they were last year in the playoffs. And they're never out because, like AJ Greer said, and this is something Paul Maurice, if you listen to him talk after games throughout the playoffs, they treated every series like it was a 7-game series. Like, they were fully expecting going into every series and play 7. So it's not like they were hoping for a 5 or a 6 or a sweep. They were bought in to go the distance. And clearly that paid off for them because they were very resilient and they had that grind, man. They'll grind you right down.
Yeah. Only one went 7, I believe, right? The Toronto. That's it.
That is correct. There's only one team that took the Panthers to 7 games.
7.
And I do kind of cringe. Of course, this is a Toronto radio station. And, of course, we broadcast to a lot of Toronto Maple Leaf fans. We're pumping the tires of the Panthers hard for the last 15 minutes. But
they won.
They did win. And, of course, they're an incredible hockey team. I just wonder that this iteration of the Toronto Maple Leafs, the offseason that we've seen, how much better they'd be able to compete with the Florida Panthers than last year. Well, we won't know this probably until April or May, when those two teams perhaps play one another once again. But I'm curious, Michelli and Waugh and Dakota Joshua, amongst others. Mitch Marner, not there anymore.
Deeper team, heavier team.
That's exactly it. How that team...
And guys who can skate.
Yes.
Too.
How that team competes with Florida as opposed to what last year was able to do.
And you need a healthy Austin Matthews.
Probably the most important thing.
I saw this. Someone tweeted out today, like, I want to see this version of Austin Matthews back. And it was this goal in Dallas where he picks it up in the neutral zone and he drives wide and he drops his shoulder and brings it right across the crease. And you're like, man, that was the Austin Matthews. That was an absolute animal, but it was a healthy Austin Matthews.
It was a big goal. It was either the one that tied or broke Vive's record.
It was one because he had two, I think, in that game.
He did, and the game winner. I think that it was the game winner. They won like 4-3 in OT, I believe, and I believe that was the one.
But that's just a small clip.
The game.
That's the Austin Matthews you need, and if that happens, then the loss of Mitch Marner doesn't seem so bad. And all of a sudden, the depth that you think you have in the lineup might come to fruition a little bit more. But it always starts at the top. It's, kind of the same thing in Florida, although they had it spread out.
No,
all three.
It's not the same. There's nobody who can replicate what Florida did last year. They had 3 number 1 lines.
They go against the grain in so many ways because if the first line wasn't doing it, the third line was
Didn't
doing
matter.
it. Like they really are. They're the deepest team. It's so hard to replicate what they've done.
Well, and again, I think we all like what the Leafs have done for the most part over the course of the offseason. But again, look at Florida's third line, if you want to call it that, with Marchand, Lindell, and Luostarinen, and how dominant they were last year in the playoffs at even strength. I think that Nick Waugh with maybe Dakota Joshua and Bobby McMahon, something like that, I think that line could be fine. But compared to what Florida
there's no Marchand there.
Well, that's it.
Right?
Who's a line driver and who was potentially, he was just a couple votes away from winning the Conn Smythe Trophy.
There's not a lot of Marshands, though.
No, there's not.
There's really
the Leafs would have loved to
guy like that.
The Leafs would have loved to have Brad Marchand on their team. Clearly, that was going to be a strong pursuit of theirs if he had gotten a free agency. That didn't happen, so they decided to pivot the other way, and Marchand's back in Florida. Yeah. Congratulations to them.
Panthers are a menace again.
Yes, they are indeed. So thanks again to AJ Greer of the Florida Panthers for joining us. We have Bill Guerin coming up in about 20 minutes. We'll give you an update on the TSN 1050 bracket, best Toronto trades ever, coming up as well. And Al's brother will have the filter coming your way in about 45 minutes. Overdrive continues.
Sail GP lives here.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
Overdrive is brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line of the final score. The Jays are destroying Colorado once again. Now, 35 runs in 3 games for the Jays and counting. Colorado, get it together. I know their run differential is approaching the worst in the history of the sport and will be by season's end. 35 runs to the Jays. I mean, I love it. And talk about a bounce back that was desperately needed for the Jays because they had come into this series struggling. The bats were scuffling a little bit. You were kind of wondering, oh, is this team coming back to earth? The Rockies are like, here you go, boys. Let me serve it up on a tee for you and just go to work.
Yeah, 52 hits over a 3-game series, which is just unbelievable. So, yeah, if the bats were cooling off, this came at the perfect time, and the big boys are leading the way, right? Like, Vladdy's had a great series. Bichette's had a great series. Varsho's mashing. Like, everyone's kind of doing their thing.
Like, Barger's still out there hitting bombs. Yeah. I mean, it is very reminiscent to that Athletics series victory they had just kind of at the end of May that really propelled that 2-month stretch. And they kind of hit a lull right before that. The Athletics rolled into town. They crushed them. And this is kind of a similar situation. So hopefully the next couple months they can use this and parlay it into some success because there's a team coming up behind them. They got to keep winning because the Red Sox keep winning.
Yeah, it's like point night in the NHL. You have some garbage team coming to town and they're playing their backup goalie. Let's rack up some points. Let's get some cookies.
I will forever be betting overs and homers, fading the Rockies the rest of the season.
Probably a good call.
Yeah.
You'll be profiting in a major way off FanDuel, as you usually do, Al's brother.
Yeah.
As we usually do. That is Al's brother. That's Frank Corrado. I'm Aaron Korolnik. Hour 2 coming up. Bill Guerin and The Filter with Al's brother.
water, wind, and speed. It's nation against nation.
And look how close they are!
In a global race for sailing supremacy.
Oh my Lord, disaster!
Sail GP lives here.
TSN takes pole position for your NASCAR coverage.
Unbelievable!
This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Welcome into hour 2 of OverDrive on this Wednesday afternoon. I'm Aaron Karolnik. That is Mike DiStefano. That is Frank Corrado. Bill Guerin, the GM of the Minnesota Wild and of Team USA at the upcoming Olympics, will join us in about 5 minutes. And I'm going to run something by you guys before I run it by Bill, because I think the NHL's offseason is a disgrace. It is so boring. Nothing happens ever. What has happened lately that is worthy of conversation? And Frank, before you answer that, I'm on tsn.ca/NHL right now. One of the top stories is former Stars goalie Anton Hudobin announces retirement. This is what we're dealing with right now.
Yeah.
The NHL needs to find a way, and I'm saying this kind of tongue-in-cheek, but I'm being serious, to generate some off-season content. Think about the NBA. Think about the NFL. How prominent off-season storylines are to the fabric of interest for fans. The NHL, everybody goes on vacation for 2 months. No one does a single thing in NHL front offices. It's a joke, and it needs to. I want trades. I want signings. Let's go, McDavid.
You know why you want that? Because
I'm a fan of hockey. That's why.
You're a fan of hockey.
And there's nothing happening. It's a joke.
You need to blame the insiders, because all the insiders do leading up to free agent frenzy is talk about how this summer is going to be bonkers. We're going to have all kinds of stuff. I think we're really settling in for one, guys. It's going to be one of those wild rides, and then nothing happens.
Radio sound.
The expectation is what kills you.
It was set really high, I will say. Like, almost every insider said, yeah, we're going to see a lot happen. We're waiting for, like, one more signing. And then, like, the Ehlers signing was supposed to be what broke the dam, and then everything was kind of supposed to follow it after it. What have we had since then?
Nothing.
Basically nothing. No,
we're waiting
for Dakota Joshua.
We are waiting for Jack Roslovic. This is our life. He was a healthy for Carolina in the playoffs at times, and that is a guy we are waiting for. And I'm looking at let's compare to the NBA. The NBA, De'Aaron Fox just signed a deal for $230 million. Luka Doncic just signed a massive contract extension. There are trades. There are rumors about Giannis and this. The NHL is quiet. It's not the insiders' fault. It's the GMs. They need to find a way. And I would say the league as a whole, and I'm actually getting kind of angry. I'm just thinking about this. The NHL is doing itself a disservice by being a complete ghost town for 2 months on the sports calendar. There is no interest. There is no intrigue. And that makes the league a lot more boring. And frankly, is just making them fall further and further behind the other leagues as far as what they have going on.
Frank, were you on when Stan Bowman was on a couple weeks ago on the show?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so he was on the show, and he essentially was like, yeah, we'll reach out to, like, Connor and his representatives here shortly. We're a month, 2 months into the offseason almost. You haven't had a conversation with Connor McDavid and his like, how are you not hammering away at an extension for that guy? We're about 6 weeks from training camp, and you haven't had meaningful discussions and conversations with Connor McDavid?
These are, like, made up timelines in your head. It's like, why do you yeah, sure, you'll open up the dialogue, but nothing has to be done just yet. That they could wrap that up in a week. Connor McDavid tells you how much he wants to make and how many years he wants to sign for. What, are you going to persuade him to take less money and more term?
So have that conversation in July. Why do you got to wait until the first week of September?
It's wedding season.
Mid-August.
I believe McDavid is at Draisaitl's wedding. I saw some Sea-Doos going on.
McDavid's not having those conversations. It's the agents that are like, at the end of the day, it's not like McDavid has to be there to have that discussion. He's got to just sign on the dotted line.
Listen, I don't mind the fact that the league kind of goes quiet here for a little bit. Like, we have the RFA stuff. Nothing happened with the RFAs. No one really went to arbitration. Everyone settled up. Everyone got their deal. Like,
where's the offer sheets that apparently were supposed to happen this summer?
The offer sheets didn't happen. Well, you know why the offer sheets didn't happen also? Because everyone's got cap space now.
Yep.
Like, free agent, I was wrong on free agent frenzy. I will fully admit that. I thought there was going to be an enormous amount of money handed out and some horrible deals because all these GMs were going to be trigger happy and sign a bunch of guys. And you know what GMs learned? and maybe Billy can even talk about this when he hops on with us, that don't put yourself in a jam when it comes to cap space. Because all these guys had to do so much cap gymnastics and get a third team to eat this much just to make a simple transaction. Who wants to live in that world anymore? So the GMs thought better, and they said, you know what? Let's take it easy. The cap's going to go up probably another $10 million next year. We'll have a lot of time to spend money, but I think teams were very much equipped to handle the offer sheets if they came their way this year.
And of course, the major difference in the NHL versus the NBA, the NFL, is the hard salary cap versus the soft salary cap. And that definitely prompts less movement within the league, which, of course, does itself no favors as far as potential trades and signings that we clamor for here in sports radio. And we have not gotten much of late, which is very disconcerting. But maybe Bill Guerin can break something for us when he calls it. He's going to join us in just a moment.
Couple of things that he's got on his docket. Like Marco Rossi's one of the RFAs that's still out there. There's been a lot of trade discourse of whether or not
you want the Kaprizov extension?
Kaprizov? Let's get
we'll take that from
extension.
Bill. We'll take that from Bill.
I would have loved nothing more to wake up to a Kaprizov extension and us to be able to talk about that with Guerin today. Would have been perfect timing for us specifically, but for the hockey world.
I know.
You talk about that instead, you got to say, all right, well, you start to think why is it taking so long? Does he not want to sign? Is there something going on? Has the conversation not started? I don't know.
I also think
Same
some
thing
of
with
these things,
McDavid.
Some of these things like these extensions, correct me if I'm wrong, when Hellebuck and Scheifele did theirs, it was like they opened camp and they announced the extensions or something like that. Like it was around camp time. So maybe there's that element too where teams just want to conduct their business in a tidy way and say, it's a nice way to open camp. Hellebuck and Scheifele are back. So Minnesota maybe wants to open camp and say, Kaprizov's here. It's an 8-year deal. Who knows?
Yeah, and you don't have the insiders digging around, maybe trying to get as much information. Pierre LeBrun's up at Rocky Crest hanging out. He's not grinding away maybe as much as he would be on a normal day during the midst of the season. So I would contend that the Nazem Kadri comment underneath the TSN Instagram post of the orientation camp rosters was the most interesting thing that's happened all summer. Because clearly he wanted to be invited to that Team Canada camp and wasn't. And whether or not you believe he should have been is, I suppose, I think there's cases to be made for both.
Well, it was almost like when, I think it was the World Cup of Hockey, Phil Kessel, when U.S. lost out on their silver. And he said, something about, is there something else that I should be doing right now? And he had a little comment to make because he was left off the team. And that was kind of, that was a funny little comment to me. That's what it reminded me of when I saw Kadri do that. But Kadri had a nice season last year, I'll say that. I think he had a career-high 35 goals. But, I don't know. I don't look at him and think he's Olympic material.
No.
That's
not to disrespect Nazem Kadri. He's a great player, and he's a guy who could contribute in the right role. But I just think that there are probably guys ahead of him. And I also think they're trying to bring some of the younger players as well along with Canada. I think perhaps both Celebrini and Bedard in the right situation could be part of the roster, maybe as the taxi squad or whatever you want to call them. Or maybe Celebrini and Bedard are on the team. Who knows how this season goes?
What if both of those guys start the season gangbusters?
Rip it up.
All of a sudden, Connor Bedard really pops off. Macklin Celebrini had an unbelievable start. He is well on his way. And he, it sounds weird to say, but it feels like he has more help in San Jose than Connor Bedard has help in Chicago. But both those guys, I think, will push to put themselves in the conversation. I think the only argument you can make against Kadri for not being at that camp is you have to make a cut somewhere. That's it. He had a good year. Does he deserve a look? Sure. But at some point you have to say, okay, this is as many players as we're inviting. And he plays the center ice position. There's already so many
deep.
Quality centermen.
So deep.
If he was a winger, then he has more of a compelling argument to be there. But it's already so deep down the middle of the ice. That's a tough position to get a look at.
Yeah, we're talking about the 42-man orientation camp roster for Canada happening in Calgary in August. And one thing I thought that was probably even more interesting than the Kadri omission was the fact that they only have 3 goalies on that list. And it's the same 3 goalies who were there for the 4 nations.
Well, there was already so much controversy.
Why not bring Kemper? Why not bring
Logan Thompson?
Blackwood? I mean, yeah, sure.
There was a lot of names that could have been out there. I also am very curious as to why. Because that was the one thing I would say when I saw the roster come out. I'm like, it's the same 3 goalies. And there was already controversy surrounding those 3 when they got picked. So Binnington, absolutely. I think what he did at the Four Nations 100% earns an opportunity to be the starting goaltender for Team Canada at the Olympics. So he's a guy there. But it's not even that they invited, the same other guys, Aiden Hill and Sam Montembeault, but bring in a couple other guys. Get a look at Kemper. Get a look at Logan Thompson, who was in contention as like one of the better goaltenders of last year. Like, I just don't understand why they're so set in their ways on these three goalies and not could even take a look at anyone else in a camp.
You know what I think it is, Al's brother? It's not even that you have to look at how they play at the camp. You'll watch them play throughout the season. Like, you'll have a good read on them. It's more, don't you just kind of want to see what they're like around the room, see what they're all about? But at the same time, like, there's coaches on the staff that know Logan Thompson. He's not invited. So maybe they're just kind of saying, we like our three guys, and we know who's out there, and we're just choosing to go down the path of the same three guys, and that's our preference. Like that, I don't know. I feel like after the team was picked and they won, there was a lot of conversation around, well, why would Logan Thompson absolutely deserve to be there? Okay, sure. They clearly don't see it that way. Like they had a chance to say, yeah, we should have had him there the first time, and they're not doing that. So they must really be doubling down on what they believe.
Yeah, you win. There's not a lot of answering that you have to do realistically.
Yeah, that's true. It's like the Costanza, 6 games. We won the World Series last year. Yeah, 6 games.
We talked so much about the third goaltender for Canada.
I know.
I
did
know
he play? Did Montembeault get a start?
No, he didn't get a start. But I understand the reason why we talked about the third goaltender, because it was kind of like the thought was it's very much up for grabs from the public perception, right? Like, there's no Hellebuck or there's no, I don't know, UC Soros, right? There's no just that number one stud guy. The third goaltender could factor in, because what happens if someone blows a tire and he doesn't play well? It's like that guy's very much in play. Turns out third goaltender was not really in play, because Jordan Binnington always had the trust of the coaching staff and will have the trust of the coaching staff, barring something unfortunate that would happen, and hopefully for everyone's sake that doesn't happen.
If I threw a mini Jerry's at you, Frank, the likelihood that those 3 goalies, Binnington, Hill, and Montembeault, were for Canada at the Olympics, what would the percentage be?
Are they all healthy?
Let's say health is provided.
83%.
92%.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's very high. If they were thinking of anyone else, why wouldn't they be there?
I don't know.
Like, I don't like, they clearly
are like, set. What is an orientation camp?
But hold on, why not just invite 4 goalies if you want it? Like,
so you think goalies are done?
There's
goalies
no rules. You could invite 5 goalies if you want.
It looks that optically, doesn't it look that way?
Doesn't really make sense to me.
But optically, doesn't it look that way?
Well, I mean, why wouldn't you invite somebody else?
Those are 3 goalies. We don't even need to bring anyone else. We know who we want. We want them to get the reps. Those are our guys.
And Binnington's starting. Like,
yes,
that is a lock.
That is a lock. Binnington is starting.
He deserves
to start. Exactly.
100% he does.
Yeah, and one of the things we wanted to talk to Bill Guerin about was how they didn't name Connor Hellebuck amongst their top 6 players, which I thought was noteworthy. Hellebuck was fine for the Americans at the Four Nations. Wasn't incredible, but I mean, there was a point in time where he was the favorite to win the Four Nations MVP, which, of course, we know how that ultimately ended up. But, I mean, you would think the depth and goal for Team USA would be definitely a positive for them, but I mean that's got to be Hellebuck regardless, right? I mean,
well, what would you rather have in a tournament like this? Depth and goal, like 3 really good goaltenders, or one guy that's just an absolute stud and you're going to roll with him no matter what?
It's just funny. You have the reigning Vezina Hart Trophy goalie, and who do you feel better about in the Olympics between Canada and the United States? It's like
tournament, like
you make a case for both
in a one game situation. I'm probably looking at Binnington, but
which is crazy.
Series,
I understand it.
That series was so crazy. The St. Louis-Winnipeg series, where Hellebuck goes on the road, he gets lit up, and then they finally win at home. It was so dramatic, especially in that game set. Like that was crazy, man.
Didn't they score like 0.7 seconds left to take it to
like less than 3 seconds. Perfetti scores. They go to OT, and Hellebuck led in 2 early in that game 7. And the camera keeps going to like Hellebuck on the bench, and then Hellebuck and the bench. It's like, okay, they're going to pull him. And good thing they didn't, because he made some saves he really needed to make in the third period and overtime. And ultimately they won and they moved on. But that was wild that series went that way. That was a roller coaster.
What an event. I cannot wait for the Olympics. It is going to be something special. It really will be. Yeah. That hockey that we had for the Four Nations exceeded anyone's wildest dreams. And I think the Olympics will even ratchet up.
Is Tom Wilson
level.
on your team?
Absolutely.
Yeah, Tom Wilson would be on my team for sure.
Why?
Why not? Why
Sell me on it. That was the game we played before the show began with Doogie. Sell me on this.
Okay,
guy.
outside of the fact that he's big and strong and physical
and scores
and a force, exactly. He can score. He can play up and down your lineup. He plays with top players in Washington, but you can put him on the fourth line.
Was
and
he
he's
hurt
buzz
at the
around.
Four Nations? Or was he?
It wasn't on the team.
Right. So why would he be on the Olympic roster? Like, that's what I mean. Like,
there was an oversight.
He's at the camp.
That's why.
Yeah.
And he's going to show out. We saw him at the Smile Zone
Tavares is at the camp
golf tournament.
You think Tavares has a shot?
Not as much as Tom Wilson.
Yeah. I would agree. If I was handicapping it, I would give him a
that is like,
but there's more room for on the wing. There's more room.
Well, I would also say there's more room on the team as a whole because the rosters are larger for the Olympic Games than they were for the Four Nations. You can bring more guys. Remember the whole fiasco with Thomas Harley coming in and the injury questions about Cale Makar, and we're trying to figure out who's going to play here.
Dude, how about with the United States team? They were saying Quinn Hughes is coming. Quinn Hughes ain't coming.
Yeah, all of a sudden he was in Vancouver still skating. It's like, I don't think he's there.
Yeah, but if you're giving up some of your summer to go to Calgary, no disrespect to the fine province of Alberta, that's probably quite, you're in Muskoka. You're like, all right, I'm hanging out here. Time to head to Calgary to skate for 3 days.
Dude, you're going. The Olympic team calls you to go. You're going no matter what.
And remember, Tavares, I think, tore his ACL in 2014, if I'm not mistaken.
Was that an ACL? Yeah.
That was an ACL, maybe an MCL. Hurt his knee for sure at that Olympic Games when he was with the Isles. So that's going to be something special. And, again, we're still waiting for the big offseason news to drop. And I think, clearly, it's McDavid's deal. It's Kaprizov's deal. I think Jack Eichel's deal is something that we're waiting for as well. All contract extension eligible. Kyle Connor, too, with Winnipeg.
That's a big one.
They could all
be
sign huge. This summer was supposed to be huge.
All these guys, I feel like all these guys, their teams are going to say, what do you want to make? We'll give you market value or maybe a little above market value to make sure that we keep you because now we can do that and you don't have the cap casualties. And Kyle Connor, if you're a Winnipeg fan, you look at it and you say, well, Hellebuck and Scheifele, they came back. Okay, Ehlers left. Velarde loves it there. Sandberg is back now. Basically, the band is back together. That will do a lot of favors for Kyle Connor re-signing there. It's like, this is our window to win, and the majority of the guys outside of Ehlers, everyone believes we have a chance to do this thing. So why not saddle up? And they're going to pay you exactly what you're supposed to make, maybe even more.
It is just really interesting with the rising salary cap, trying to determine when to cash in on your maximum value. And if Kyle Connor comes out and has another 40-plus goal season this coming year, he waits till maybe closer to free agency. Maybe he has a little bit more leverage. Maybe he's getting another couple $1 million a year from Winnipeg than he would get this offseason. I find that hard to believe, but committing a year out, I would call it pre-agency as opposed to free agency with these guys.
That.
I think it's a Bill Simmons term. I stole that from Bill. Sorry, Bill. I know you're an avid OverDrive watcher, but I think that it's pretty clear that a year out you can sign these contract extensions. Teams get really anxious, right? Like in Edmonton, people are like, why hasn't McDavid signed yet? What's going on? Is he really coming to Toronto? I don't think so. I think it's pretty safe to say he will be back in Edmonton. It's just a matter of how long the deal is. I think it's safe to say Eichel will be back in Vegas long term. I mean, the guy's a total stud there. I think it's going to be Eichel. It's going to be Marner.
I do find it interesting,
top line forever.
To go back to, kind of bring this conversation full circle on why there's so much more off-season stuff happening in the NBA, the NFL, compared to the NHL. These guys, these players are far more willing to try and get contract extensions done early. You look at the Micah Parsons situation and the Terry McLaurin situation, they have contracts. And they're like, I'm not playing until I get a deal. They always want to. In the NBA, they're signing contract extensions 3 years down the road.
See, but I think the difference with the NFL is that the average career lifespan is 3 years. Micah Parsons, you never know. If you're a running back in the NFL, you need to cash in as soon as possible.
James Cook.
Yes, James Cook. Again, we remember Boobie Miles, of course, from Friday Night Lights.
Miles.
Yeah, you hurt your knee, it's over, and you never return to prominence once again. So, especially if you're a skill position player, you just never know. Yeah. And you got to cash in as soon as humanly possible. And that's what James Cook should do. It's just a matter of him. And I don't know if you guys saw Hard Knocks with the Bills, but I plan on watching that tonight. I'm very excited, looking forward to that. And it's a difficult situation for both sides because Buffalo would love to have James Cook, but they also understand that simultaneously they've got some quality options behind James Cook. They probably don't want to pay him a bunch of guaranteed money when he could get hurt, could be less effective, or maybe the guys behind him could be more effective at some point in the near future. So that's a situation I think is different than Parsons, McLaurin, and Hendrickson, the other hold-ins, because Cook just doesn't have the same type of leverage as those three guys do.
I agree. I'm just like when I'm crossing the sports spectrum, I do find it interesting how like hockey players are they're just less urgent to get to those extensions as opposed to other sports like basketball and football. Like they want to try and get themselves locked up long term as much as possible. I mean, the injury is always a possibility in hockey too,
True.
right? Like it's a contact sport. Anything could happen, right? So not to say that McDavid's going to, undergo some catastrophic, season-end, career-ending injury or something like that, but like you would think that they still would like to lock themselves up, regardless if it's today on April, what's today, 5th, 6th? August, correct? We are in August.
I hope it's not.
Oh, it's the Masters.
Whoa.
Oh, you think McIlroy's going to win, guys?
August 6th or it's September 12th. Like, either way, you would think he would want, if he wants to get an extension done, get it done sooner rather than later.
It works itself out, though. These things get done at the right time. And, like, I think every year, a year out, we kind of have this conversation of, wow, look at the UFA class next year and how many guys truly do get there. Marner got there because he wasn't going to re-sign in Toronto. They couldn't get a deal done.
Technically, he didn't. That was a sign and trade. He never got to free agency.
Fair enough. Yeah, you're right. Okay, yeah, that's a good point. Like, and Ehlers got there.
Yeah.
There were a number of other players that
Marchand, Bennett didn't get there. Rantanen didn't get there. There were a lot of big names. And, we look towards
2 years ago, Scheifele, Hellebuck, who we've talked about a couple times, they didn't get there. Like, there's a lot of deals that just end up getting done. But at the same time, hockey players like to know that they're secure and they're locked up. And it's one more thing you don't have to think about. If you're an athlete and all you have to worry about is what's happening on the ice or what's happening on the field, you're in a much better place and you're not worrying about these external factors of, I got to stay healthy because this deal's not done. It doesn't do you any favors. Some guys operate that way, fine, but it's not for everyone.
And the last factor, if you compare it to the NBA and the NHL, especially, is in the NBA, there's one player with a no-trade clause. It's Brad Beal. Brad Beal is the only player with a no-trade clause. Yep, true story. Yeah. True story. In the NHL, everybody has a no-trade clause, which definitely limits movement.
David Kampf,
with a 10-team no-trade clause.
10-team no-trade.
Everybody. And I would say if I was Batman in the NHL and I wanted to increase the action in my offseason, no trade clauses. We got to figure this out as a collective because too many
Good
are
luck
out
with
there.
the PA on that.
Well,
like,
I understand.
take, right?
There is. But I don't know. I'd give something up. If I was the NHL to increase interest in the offseason, let's limit those no trade clauses, fellas.
But do they care? Do the players care about that?
I don't think the players
want them. The players want them.
No, I know. I'm saying, do they care about drumming up interest in the offseason?
No, the players don't care about drumming up interest.
Exactly.
The players just want to play. Attendance is great across the league. It's in a very healthy place. Escrow is 0%, so players don't have to give any money back. And, we had years where it was like 15 to 20% guys were given back and maybe getting 2% back. That's not the case.
You missed that money, Frank?
I do miss that. Thank you.
Okay.
That's not the case anymore. So, like, by the financials of the league, everything's in a very good place. So not much really needs to change from that point of view.
In a very good place comparatively to NHL circles. But if you go out and you look at Major League Baseball, the NBA, the NFL, it is far lacking financially.
Yeah, the NFL's a tough one to compare it to. When you own days of the week and you're a machine, that's tough. They're always just going to be number one. I think you can do a fair comparison to the NBA.
Agreed.
I think that's the one that you can say, okay, that's some closer to apples to apples.
What's the NBA salary cap?
Well, it just there's different aprons. You need like a calculator to figure out what's going on. I can't figure out how it works in the NBA. I don't think a lot of people can. You need to bring in a real expert in that regard. Again, we have the filter coming up in about 10 minutes. Should give you an update on the Jays, who are just crushing Colorado 10-1. And yes, the offensive production for the Jays has been very impressive. But how about Lauer, his start against Colorado in Coors Field? And now Kevin Gausman, who is just mowing down the Colorado Rockies. That's something that's noteworthy as well, because Gausman's start against KC wasn't very impressive last week. And now he's come back and bounced back in the toughest ballpark to pitch in. That's a very good sign for the Jays.
Yeah. The two starts prior to that KC outing was solid for Gausman. So you throw that one out, 3 of his last 4 starts, looks like his ace self again. And if you're the Blue Jays, that's what you need, because he's had a very up and down season. Very, very up and down. And you need that guy to be an ace. Has to be an ace for your staff. You're looking at him as your game one starter, most likely in the postseason. You want him to round back into form of what he's been over the last 2-3 years here in Toronto.
He's your number one, Gausman?
If he is pitching to his capabilities of what he's looked like the last couple of years, like he did 2 starts ago, yeah, I think he'd be my number one guy right now. Yeah.
He's got to be the most sure thing, I would imagine. Like if you're going in, if the playoffs were to start today, like Scherzer,
it's not gonna be Barrios.
No,
right? Probably not gonna be Bassett.
If it's at home, you would consider Bassett because his home road splits are crazy. At home, he's Greg Maddux. On the road, he's Freeland from Colorado pitching today. Yeah, he just gets lit up.
Yeah.
You don't know what Bieber's going to be yet when he's back. Like Scherzer, they're still like, hey, he's such a could be such a force, but there's still that element of don't know. And so I mean,
are you going to roll the dice with Lauer that he doesn't crumble under the pressure of
that's deep into the rotation.
I know, but
all those other guys.
It's another guy who's in the mix at the very least. Not for myself, but to some. But Gausman to me would probably be my game one start.
It's going to be a lot of fun. That's a great debate, and we'll see Bieber again soon. And I'm curious to see. You saw him in person. You did your whole scouting report down in Buffalo over the weekend. I was brothers. And what was the dish you got again? Beef something.
Beef on weck.
Beef on weck.
Beef on weck.
No, I can't say that.
No, it's like a roast beef sandwich on a bun, a little Kaiser bun.
Dude, did you see the guy eating a banana with a fork today?
I did see. I think it was. Yeah, was that a fork or a spoon? That was at Starbucks.
It was a spoon. He was eating a banana like
we have that
the
viz
peel
for the
of the banana was a bowl.
Yeah,
and he was scooping it out like he was eating ice cream out of a bowl.
Like you would
look at this guy.
You would have to heat that up, right, to get it mushy like that.
I don't think you have to.
Well, that's a yellow banana. Typically, if you got a mushy banana, that thing's all brown.
Fugazi, guys.
This
is all scripted. They're just trying to get clicks.
You think so?
Yeah, that's not a real video. Like, there's no one who actually does that. Although there's that video of the guy or the girl with the hot dog and the beer and using that as
dunking the beer.
But I can't believe this.
Chicken tenders
the sweater. The sweater's a red flag.
Look at this guy.
The bananas, this is crazy. Throw Costanza eating the Snicker bars with the fork and knife out the window. That is a million times crazier than that.
All right, that's what 27 minutes of filling in sports radio is like, people. That was good stuff. Good work by us. Bill Guerin didn't want to join us. I don't know if it has anything to do with Wilkes-Barre and 2016, Frank.
No, it's all good.
No, I don't know.
Looking forward to catching up with Billy.
I know. He was looking forward to catching up with you.
USA.
That's right. You know what? Maybe Bill was working on a big deal for us to break here at TSN.
Hammering the Kaprizov.
Imagine that comes out in 10 minutes.
I'll be so excited.
I would be and we get the exclusive one-on-one with Bill Guerin. I think we will.
Would we bump the filter?
No, absolutely not.
No.
The filter is next with Al's brother, and there are some very contentious debates to be had. That's next.
water, wind, and speed. It's nation against nation.
And look how close they are.
In a global race for sailing supremacy.
Oh, my Lord, disaster.
Sail GP lives here.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
No filter?
You have no filter.
That's
quite obvious.
That's true. That's a good
Just
thing.
say whatever comes into your mind.
Yeah.
You don't really modulate your feelings at all. I'll tell you.
It's a good thing for me, but it's a bad thing for water.
All right, it is time for the filter here on Overdrive. And AK, have you had a chance to sit in on a filter before?
This is my maiden voyage.
Okay,
Like the Titanic. Hopefully it
voyage.
ends
Frank,
better.
I think Frank's had a couple.
I've been on the filter, but can I ask you something?
Let's go.
You have like a different voice when you host
Yeah, I'm
the
hosting
segment.
a game show. I'm hosting like a game show here.
He's got like a host voice.
He brings a
I'm bringing my
cadence.
Bob
and an
Barker.
analyst
How's everyone
voice.
doing today? It's time for... All right, let's get to it.
Explain how the filter works, please.
So the filter, essentially, I got some takes. Got some takes that I want to run through the filter before I tweet them out. They're sitting in the drafts right now. And you got to tell me, is this take, do I send it, end it, or is this such an awful take that I got to delete my account?
You can throw it in the drafts for a bit. Like you could simmer on it.
You could do that if you're on the fence about something. You could kind of simmer on it, tuck in the drafts, maybe a bit too early to come up with a decision here. But those are essentially the four outcomes that you can give me here for these. So we'll get this party started. We'll stick with the Blue Jays, who are currently undergoing an absolute beatdown over the Colorado Rockies. But we're looking ahead to the playoffs, and we've talked a lot about this. What does the playoff rotation look like? And for me, you're looking at both Shane Bieber and Max Scherzer must be in this Jays playoff rotation.
Wow. Bieber and Scherzer have to be in the Blue Jays playoff rotation. I would say end it. I wouldn't delete your account. I wouldn't send it. I think Scherzer, yes, 100%. At this point in time, I'm just not there with Bieber. I don't buy it yet. He's still in AAA. It's August. The playoffs are right around the corner. We're dealing with 50-some-odd games to go. We know 2 more rehab starts are in line for Shane Bieber. The potential is there. And clearly, in a perfect world, a perfect situation, the Toronto Blue Jays would have a healthy and fully functional Shane Bieber at the top of their rotation. I just can't put him at the same level as Max Scherzer. I don't think both are going to be part of the equation, especially considering some of the alternatives that they have.
I'll let you throw it in the draft, Sal's brother, because there's still a little bit of baseball that needs to be played. And I'll say this about the Jays rotation, and Hayes talks about this all the time. The guys that have been the horses have been healthy. So they've been reliable and they've been available. But if something were to happen, you have 2 unbelievable insurance policies right now in Bieber, if he can get there, and Scherzer, if he can stay healthy. Now, those are the 2 guys that would be maybe the most prone to being unavailable, and the other guys are not really wired that way. But with enough time, really, between now and then, I think you can keep that in the drafts and say, you know what? If guys round into form, guys are healthy, you might be able to throw that out. It might be a little bit of a hot take at the time still, but it would be worthwhile throwing out there.
So those workhorses who's thrown a lot of innings over the last couple of years here for the Blue Jays, like in your opinion, are those guys entitled to playoff starts over Scherzer and Bieber?
No chance. There's no entitled. It's about winning.
Yeah.
It's about winning. Scherzer is probably, for me, I'd go Gausman game 1, and I'm assuming Bassett would be in line for game 2. If it's a home start, I want Chris Bassett out there at Rogers Center. His Rogers Center numbers are unbelievable. I don't see why you would look away from that. I want Scherzer starting Game 3 on the road for me.
Yeah,
though.
dude,
that's where I want him.
There's no like entitlement or we owe you this. Even though those guys have been available and they've been the workhorses, who's going to win the game for you? Like, who's going to get you the series?
Those guys have won a lot of they've won a lot of ball games for the Blue Jays. Like, they're not in the conversation.
No, they're leading the conversation. It's just you're not going in there saying it's these guys no matter what. It's not those guys no matter what. It's, who's available.
What does your three look like right now? Game 1, 2, 3.
I would probably agree with AK.
Thank you, Frank.
Yeah, it's
very nice
Osman 1, it's Bassett, and it's Barrios.
Again, I think you also have to consider the opponent.
Yes.
And the location of where the game is being played. But let's work under the assumption that the Jays will have a home game, games 1 and 2. I don't see why you wouldn't use Chris Bassett in one of those games. His numbers at the Rogers Center are so staggering this season. He's one of the best pitchers in the sport at home.
Yeah.
Why not throw him out there? And I know the road splits are not even close, but you keep him away from road starts.
He's not making
no chance.
Playoffs.
He's number 6 for me on the road, but at home, there's something about the Rogers Center where he deals, and he's a guy I want to go out there and dominate for me in a home start, and I think you will see that.
All right. Next up, Austin Matthews. We'll go to Leafs. Austin Matthews will never win another Rocket without Mitch Marner.
Buddy, you can end this.
Delete the account.
You can end this. Austin Matthews has been the best goal scorer from the moment he stepped into the league, especially at 5-on-5. Okay, he's not going to have Mitch Marner, but he didn't always have Mitch Marner. He's had William Nylander a lot throughout the course of his career. And yes, him and Marner had some unbelievable seasons together, but this guy can score. And given the opportunity, if he's healthy, there's not many guys. There's no one who can really do it like him at this point anyways.
Can you rely on him being healthy?
I think yes. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that. He's going to win another Rocket. Is he going to be a 69-goal Rocket? No, but last year, what did Draisaitl have? 50
and change.
50
like that.
Missed a bunch of games at the end of the season.
Yeah, and he missed a bunch. That's very attainable for Austin Matthews. A down year for him last year, or even the previous down year he had where he had 40. If he's healthy, he's going to win another Rocket.
Absolutely. Totally agree with you, Frank. Matthews, 26 goals, 30 assists in 41 games without Mitch Marner in his career. So it's a pretty good sample size that Matthews can thrive without 16 on his wing. And I think you also have to consider Matthew Nyes and his emergence will be a major positive for Austin Matthews and his goal production as well. We don't know who's playing on the right side. It could be Max Domi. Could be Mateus Michelli. Who knows? Maybe it's William Nylander.
Matthew Nyes, but here's the thing, too. Matthew Nyes can sniff around and steal a couple of those goals, especially in tight. So you're taking away opportunities for Matthews to score.
You may be correct, or it could create more opportunities for that line as a whole. But I think you're saying he will never win another Rocket in his career. This is the guy, in my opinion, who should be the favorite every single year. The only thing for me that can derail Austin Matthews from winning another Rocket is health. Nothing else. Doesn't matter about Mitch Marner or anything else. He's shown he can do it without Marner. I think he could do it again this season without him.
We also don't know, for the course of Austin Matthews' contract that is remaining, the answer to who's going to be his right winger might not be playing on the team yet. It could be someone that is, we don't know, but there could be someone who's not on the team who eventually becomes Austin Matthews' wingman and would help facilitate, him scoring a bunch of goals. We always have to have a caveat, though. Austin Matthews probably couldn't care less and just wants to win a Stanley Cup. The team just wants to win. We have to make sure we get that out.
Yes, of course, with the caveats. All right, next one. This one actually comes from a fan. We posed the question on Twitter, and we had a fan tweet this one in and wondering if he should send or delete his account. The Maple Leafs will miss the playoffs. This is by @the_Pharaoh_MJ. The Leafs will miss the playoffs. Maybe it's Mike Johnson's burner.
Could be. That's an end it. That'll end it for sure.
I agree.
I'm not going to tell you to delete your account.
Actually, I will. Delete your account.
Okay.
The Leafs, listen, the Leafs are absolutely making the playoffs. I know Mitch Marner is a very big part of what they do and have done over the course of the last 9 years since he's been there, but he's not irreplaceable to a point where this team won't compete for a playoff spot and make a playoffs. They won the division a year ago. They could still very much win the division this year. It could be difficult, but they can. Wouldn't shock me.
Who would boot Toronto out of the playoffs in the Eastern Conference would be my question. And we know Ottawa and Montreal were the wild card teams last year. Like, do you think Columbus is taking a jump? Detroit, the Rangers?
I actually do like Columbus.
I like Columbus too,
like
but to the point where they'll have more points than the Toronto Maple Leafs seems like a stretch. And barring some horrible things happening, whether it's the Stolars and Wall or maybe on the back end, maybe it's Matthews, but I just don't see a way in which that happens. Remember that season that Tampa had a couple of years ago, maybe more, when they had, 126 points, and the year after, they had all those injuries, and they just couldn't string good play together, and no one could stay healthy. That's the type of season it would take for Toronto to miss.
Exactly. Yeah, the Leafs won't miss the playoffs because they don't have Mitch Marner. The Leafs would miss the playoffs because Matthews isn't available. Goaltenders are hurt.
Yeah.
Chris Tanev is hurt.
Exactly.
Like, you have all these devastating injuries. That's what would make them miss the playoffs. But the Leafs were 108 points last year. For them to miss, they would have to go down to like 90, 88.
Yeah, 90.
So
Montreal made it with 91
So you're
points.
telling me they're 20 points worse than they were last year? No chance.
I'm not.
No
MJ's
chance.
burners tell me.
Barrow_MJ. Get it together,
they're
brother.
Delete your account.
Are they maybe 10 points worse?
Could be.
Sure, but that still gets you in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Even if
How about Toronto finishing the top 3 in the Atlantic?
You want like a mini Jerry's
Is that
on
sure? But we could shift to a mini Jerry's.
Top 3 in the Atlantic, 72%.
84%.
Oh, interesting.
72%.
I still think that it's a very established top 3 in the Atlantic, no matter what.
Yeah, and you have those teams nipping at the heels, the Ottawas, the Montreals, who knows, maybe Detroit, maybe at some point the Boston Bruins, who we discussed earlier, could bounce back to what they once were.
Two teams that I really wonder about in the Eastern Conference. What are the Rangers going to be, and what's Columbus going to be? Like, Columbus is kind of nipping at the heels, like you said. I think the Rangers are going to miss the playoffs 2 years in a row. That was catastrophic for them last year.
Yeah.
Like, they can't be that bad again, can they be? Like, they have a pretty good team on paper, and they have one of the best goalies in the world on their team.
It made no sense how bad they were last year. So, like, I would be surprised if they missed out. So, like, of the teams that didn't make the playoffs last year that could bump one of those teams out, yeah, I'm looking at New York and Columbus probably being the two teams that might be able to do it. Columbus, if you recall, like, they went on an absolute run at the end. Jack Greaves put on his cape and nearly hamburglared that team in. And Montreal had to, like, come up with a win on the final night of the season to get themselves into the playoffs. So I could absolutely see Columbus getting into the postseason, but it's not going to be knocking out Toronto.
No.
It's probably going to be, like, what's New Jersey going to be this year? Ottawa, Montreal. Like, I see Washington taking a step back. Like, of the 2 division winners in the East last year, I think it's far more likely that Washington misses the playoffs than Toronto.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Send it? Is that a send it take?
I would actually, I would say that's an end it.
Really?
I think Washington's a very good team. They got very capable goaltending. Their blue line's awesome. Like, yeah, they probably rallied a little bit around Ovi last year, but that's a solid team.
I just didn't like what I saw from them after Ovi accomplished the goal. It seemed like they kind of lost the plot a little.
Well, they have that movie that Ovechkin's going to be a part of, right? With that Russian tech company. They're going to make a movie about Ovechkin's career. Who would play Ovechkin in that feature film?
Ovi should.
He should just do it himself.
Just let him retire and then go and do it.
He's Ovechkin, when he retires from the NHL, is going over the KHL and probably playing for 10 years like Yager.
Like Yager?
I think that'll be a very similar career arc.
Could happen.
Which I respect immensely.
Could happen. All right. Next up, we'll go to the NFL. The Chiefs will not reach the AFC Championship game for the first time in the Patrick Mahomes era.
I think you can send that.
You don't like the Chiefs this year?
I think you can. I do like
here?
the Chiefs. I just think there are teams I like more. I think there's a lot of teams, including the Denver Broncos in that division. They could be a major problem. Expect Bo Nix and company to take a big step in year 2. I think the Chargers are legit, but I'm looking at the other top teams in the AFC, namely the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens. I like both of those teams better than the Kansas City Chiefs. I do not think Kansas City.
Cincinnati's in that conversation?
No,
too?
I don't buy the defense for the Bengals at all. I love the offense for obvious reasons, but again, look at last year. What were they? 3-4 in games they scored 33 points or more in the Bengals. The defense, especially with the Trey Hendrickson questions that linger, it's just not there. I like the Bills. I like the Ravens in the AFC, and I think the Chiefs right now are number 3. And I'm sure Old Takes Exposed will have this clip out in in February when the Chiefs are back there for the 6th straight year.
You can send it for sure, but it has to be like considered a hot take at this point because There's something about the Chiefs where they got this magic pixie dust on them, and the big moments, they seem to find a way to come through, even though they didn't do it in the Super Bowl last year. But like the Bills and the Ravens, those are two teams that like they mean business. And that's going to be the biggest issue for the Chiefs. But yeah, like this is not this a mildly hot take, but I think you can throw that out there.
Yeah, I'm not a. It's tough to say because Patrick Mahomes, and like you said, little pixie dust, and all of a sudden that Chiefs team, they just find ways to win. But if you look at them, how many like lucky victories that they've had over the course of the last 2 years now, like that offense has not been nearly as good as maybe we all think it's been. Like you think about Patrick Mahomes, you're like, oh, this guy's been unbelievable. Like he's been the best quarterback in the last 5 years. That might be true, but that offense as a whole has not been. Like it's kind of been ugly over the last couple of years.
I agree with that, Michael, but I would say that their collection of offensive skill position players this year might be the strongest they've ever had. Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, who was a beast last year.
Yeah.
Once Rice went down, Hollywood Brown is finally healthy for them.
Maybe.
Say what you will about Travis Kelce, where he's at in his career. If he's your number 3 or number 4 option, even if Mr. Swift is where he is in his career, he's still a very high-quality player at that position.
That's the crazy thing. If there's other guys taking up that much oxygen and it just alleviates a little room for Kelce, you're like, oh, boy. Like, all of a sudden, he doesn't have to do as much, and it becomes – or he stays as effective as he has been for the longest time.
Yeah, I almost wonder, though, like, can he get away with that? Like, there's a lot of people last year that were kind of getting on him for – the season that he had. Like the decline clearly started last season. Like I feel like he has gotten to a point in his career where people have expectations regardless. Like, okay, you're a year older, but we still have high expectations on you. I don't know if he has the luxury of kind of fading back and letting other guys take on the role without getting kind of abused online for it.
We will ask Herm Edwards in 20 minutes from ESPN, the coach, when he joins us in Hour 3. Also coming up, Brad Gilbert, ESPN tennis commentator, Vicky Mboko in action tonight at the National Bank Open. It's Hour 2 of Overdrive as we continue on TSN 2 and TSN 1050.
TSN takes pole position for your NASCAR coverage.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
So the Jays are up 14-1 on Colorado. They won game 1 15-1, game 2 10-4, and then game 3 they're up 14-1.
Yeah.
That has to be in a 3-game set amongst the biggest collective aggregate scoring, most successful 3-game set the Blue Jays have had in franchise history.
I did see someone post something about that. I think it was they scored 11-11 and then had a 22 spot back in 2021. I think it was against the Orioles, if I recall.
Some special stuff. Again, Colorado is an embarrassment of a baseball team. And I think everybody in that baseball team would nod their heads in agreement at that assessment. But still, the way the Jays took care of business, very good to see it. They've got the Dodgers coming up this weekend, where I don't think it'll be as easy as the Colorado Rockies. So just an update on the best Toronto sports trade. The bracket that we have going on at the TSN 1050.
Tulo up on that one?
Tulo trade is not here, but you could see it up on TSN 4. Kawhi beating Brian McCabe. Surprising. So the semifinal, Kawhi to the Raptors, Batista to the Jays. Batista beating Lowry, which is interesting. Josh Donaldson to the Jays, Ricky Ray to the Argos, which I think is a stealth favorite as a 6 seed in that Ricky Ray helped bring 2 Grey Cups to the Toronto Argonauts in 2012 and 2017. So maybe that could be a guy who could dethrone Kawhi, but I think we probably know where this is going.
It's going to be Kawhi goes through and Donaldson goes through. And the Ricky Ray one kind of flies under the radar because like the CFL doesn't get the same notoriety as the MLB or the NBA. But when you bring championships, that's the difference maker.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And, unfortunately, didn't happen with the 2015 Jays, 2016 Jays, but like you brought in an MVP. And when you do that, you bring in an MVP that's going to get a lot of consideration. So, yeah, my vote's going Kawhi and Donaldson, but we'll see what the people say.
Ricky Ray did not win Grey Cup MVP in either 2012 or 2017, which is interesting and pretty rare. Chad Cackard in 2012 and then DeVere Posey in 2017.
DeVere Posey.
Yeah, he had like 175 yards receiving that night. That was some very special stuff for the Argonauts. Oh, what a night that was. That was a snowy night against the Stampeders, against Bo Levi Mitchell.
You remember all your
I was
Grey
there.
Cups?
I was there. Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was there for both of those glorious times.
Yeah.
Although last year's Grey Cup was the best.
Was that
my God.
who did the halftime show?
Bieber was in 2012.
No, in 2017.
2017. I'm not sure. We'll get to that in hour 3, Al's brother. That's Al's brother. That's Frank Corrado. I'm Eric
Celine
Kolnick.
Dion? Was it Dion?
Maybe Shania Twain. Hour 3's next.
This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
It's hour 3 of OverDrive. We are brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Korolnik to Stefano Corrado until 7 o'clock. Herm Edwards in about 5 minutes, talking all things NFL. Brad Gilbert as well later this hour ahead of Vicky Mboko's semifinal match at the National Bank Open in Montreal. We've been watching the Jays. They are doing some serious damage in Colorado. 20 spots.
A 20
spot. This is like MLB The Show on easy mode for the Jays at Coors Field. This is crazy.
Well, it was 10-1 like 14 minutes ago.
It's now 20 to 1.
20 to 1.
20 to 1.
Yeah, they had 13 home runs through this 3-game stretch here against the Rockies. Now, the ball carries. I think we all can agree. The ball carries, and let's not expect this going forward. But this has to be such a confidence boost, such a confidence builder for everyone in that lineup. And when you got the Dodgers coming up next, everyone's feeling good. Everyone's feeling an extra inch or two taller, and that they can go out there and provide some offense, man. Like, this has to be such a good feeling right now for the Blue Jays.
We'll see, right? Like, this should be the confidence booster. It can't be... we wasted it on the Rockies because you have the Dodgers coming up, you have the Cubs, and you have the Rangers. And the Rangers are playing some pretty desperate ball right now. The Cubs are a good team. Like, they're heading into a portion of the schedule where, you did your job. You kind of banked some wins here, which is good. The Yankees lost some games. Now the Red Sox are kind of on your tail, if you want to call it that. So mission accomplished for the Jays. But the beat kind of has to go on here against some teams that are really good, and that starts with the Dodgers.
Dude, I'm looking at this box score right now. Everybody is raking. Davis Schneider, 3 hits. Clement, 4 hits. Vlad, 4 hits. Bichette, 2 hits. France, 4 hits. Barger, 2 hits. Nathan Lucas has 1 hit, but 4 RBIs.
But he's been hot.
He's been red hot. 2 hits for Heineman, 2 hits for Straw. I mean, this is hilarious.
Who it is.
It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
Practice at Coors Field.
It is batting practice.
In a game that counts.
It does count. And
unbelievable.
This is one of the greatest 3-game stretches for the Toronto Blue Jays in franchise history. The most hits they've had in a 3-game stretch. So shout out to the Jays. Nice. Yeah, they did what they were expected to do. Sweep the Rockies. Although the game's not over yet. A 19-run inning in the bottom of the 9th. 19-run lead, I should say, in the bottom of the 9th. We'll see if they're able to hold on to it. I think they'll be just fine.
It's so embarrassing for the Rockies. Coming into the game, they're going to be over a minus 300 run differential coming out of this game.
It was minus 290, what?
297 going into the game. Like that, they're going to
add another 19.
Worse than 300. Wow. That is something, man. That is a really sad state of affairs over there.
If they keep giving up home runs at this rate and keep giving up runs in general, and these run differentials continue to be this way, they might break the record within a week or two.
Yeah, it could be pretty soon.
Are they worse than the White Sox were? Was it last year or 2
Maybe
years?
Not by record, but like the run differential. And if you ask Michael Kay, he views run differential in one way. If you ask others, they view it different ways. But like the Colorado Rockies are going to be minus 400 by the end of the season. And that is some unprecedented territory.
Coors Field or not, that's staggering. I don't care. That's really, really bad baseball.
It is. Speaking of staggering, the response around the NFL today about this banning of smelling salts, like you're getting people coming out who are legitimately concerned. And we're going to play this clip from Baker Mayfield in just a second, the quarterback of the Bucs. He's had this incredible career resurgence. And take a listen to Baker Mayfield talking about the smelling salts ban and its effect that it could have, not only on him, but around players around the entire league.
I mean, we saw George Kittle, an impassioned member, an enthusiast of the Smelling Salt Club. They are banned. Your thoughts?
Not sure why. I think the reasoning was that it masks concussion symptoms. But if you get knocked out, which is the whole purpose of smelling salts, to wake you up, you're not allowed back in the game. So I think it was a quick trigger to ban them, just to kind of a CYA. But it is what it is.
A CYA?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
Cover your butt.
Cover your CYB?
Yeah,
Cover
basically.
your ass.
Yeah.
Got it.
There you go.
I'm not used to this Florida heat. Okay, got it. So maybe David White, this is like his legacy now. Newly and the new NFLPA guy. This is on your plate to sort of maybe appeal this.
Yeah, apparently it's now you just got to bring your own juice to the party. Got to wake up ready to go.
What's in the juice? Espresso?
It's, flavor of the day. Maybe espresso, maybe coffee, a lot of pre-workout. Who knows?
Yeah. Who in the NFL is going to be most affected by this?
I'm going to be severely affected, to be honest with you.
What's going to replace smelling salts? Because now that's all I'm going to be worried about for the next 6
More
months.
headbutts.
I did not realize that smelling salts were so ingrained in the culture of the NFL to this degree. I mean, Baker Mayfield is legit upset and concerned
affected by this
about how he is going to be affected by this. Let's bring in the coach, a man who coached countless games in the NFL, now an analyst with ESPN, Herm Edwards. Thanks so much for doing this, Herm. I mean, when you hear Baker Mayfield talk about the smelling salts and the effect that it could have on his own performance, what is your reaction to that?
Well, a lot of players are, this is kind of one of the routines they have when they play football. And I can go back to the era that I played. I mean, there were some guys, before the game they had to, they took a little hit, and then during the game at times took a little hit. I was never one of those guys, but for each individual, they have different things they like doing, and that was it's always been a big one in the NFL.
Herm, there's obviously a big situation brewing down in Dallas with the Micah Parsons coming out saying he's done, wants to get traded. Jerry saying we're not going to trade him, but unwilling to give him the big contract. How do you think Jerry Jones, I guess, has handled this whole situation? How does it play out?
Well, I think Jerry is one of the best owners in the league of really keeping his team in the forefront. And if you think of the Dallas Cowboys, we talk about Dallas Cowboys all the time. I'm headed back to the studio tomorrow, and I used to say all the time, every time I go in there, I said, we're going to talk about the Cowboys today, right? Because we're always talking about the Cowboys. It doesn't matter if they win, lose, it's just the Cowboys. And now it's Parsons, another star player. Look, this thing's going to get done. Jerry's not losing Michael Parsons. He's going to be a Cowboy. And so it's just another way that just Cowboys stay in the news, and that's what they do well. They stay in the news.
Don't you think the Cowboys, everyone's going to talk about the Cowboys regardless, whether they're making news or not. Don't you think it's kind of in their best interest at times to maybe conduct business a little more quiet or discreet? Because we're going to talk about them anyways.
It's Jerry Jones. When has Jerry Jones ever done that?
Yeah.
That's not what they do. This is what Jerry Jones does. And so that is part of the deal. And we all know it. We sit here and we talk about it and say, well, Jerry, why is Jerry doing that? That's Jerry Jones. It's the Cowboys.
Well, Herm, I mean, something like this situation, you got, Micah Parsons wants to trade out. Terry McLaurin said that he's put in a trade request. You've got a couple of sit-ins at practice with Cook and Trey Hendrickson. As a man who's obviously been at training camp and you've been through a bunch of these, how, I guess, disruptive can these be toward the rest of the team?
Well, it can be if you don't handle it as a head coach. And when you're going through something like this, we went through this with Larry Johnson when I was in Kansas City. And basically what you tell the players, look, there's a side of football that none of us like. It's the business side of it. And if you're a good enough player in your career, there's going to be a business side of it where all of a sudden you're going to be negotiating the contracts, not going to go well. I try to give them advice. I said, whatever you do, don't negotiate it through the media. Just let your agent do it. You sit back. Don't worry about it. But if it gets out there, and I said at times it does, I tell guys on the team, look, when he comes back, I always tell him, he's coming back. Okay, he's going to be back. He's going to be on our team. We want him on our team. Just embrace him when he comes back, and call him. Some of you players need to call him. If that's your buddy, call him and let him know, hey, man, you're going to be okay. He needs to hear from you guys, and so that's kind of how I went about doing it.
Herm Edwards, our guest here in Hour 3 of Overdrive. Shedeur Sanders expected to start Cleveland's preseason opener against Carolina this coming weekend, Herm. Does that mean anything to you as far as what Shedeur could do for Cleveland this season?
Well, I think if you're Shedeur, you love this opportunity to do that, to be the starter. I've always told players, hey, when you're the starter, don't let them take your job. Now, I just think it's preseason, and we get all that. I think right now, if they had to play a game to win, Joe Flacco's the starting quarterback. They got a crowded quarterback room. I think, they got 5, 6 quarterbacks now? I mean, there's not enough chairs in that room. They might have to bust out a wall to fit all these quarterbacks in this one room. But with that being said, I think for Shedeur, I mean, it's something that he's probably excited about. But this is long from being over. But when you get the chance, go do it. Go do it. Go show out. Like Dion used to always say, go show out.
Did you see Mike Vrabel and what happened to him and his bloodied face after jumping into a scrum during practice? Like, you've seen that dynamic. I'm sure you've pushed players, you've pushed teams, but how does it get to that point? Like, have you ever had to jump in and say, enough's enough, I got to get in here?
Well, I mean, you don't want players to fight. You don't. And I always tell players, when guys fight, if you're tired, just let me know. And I'll blow the whistle and give us a rest. But don't fight to stop practice. I say, because every minute you stop, I'm going to add on more time. And that's why players fight. I mean, if you're tired, just let me know. Well, I'll stop practice, but don't fight to think practice. The one time I can remember, we had a brawl. We literally had a brawl in New York. And within about 5 minutes, it's going on and coaches are going. I walked off the field. And all the players started listening, where coach going? I said, practice is over with. And they all looked around like, what? Get off the field. Just go home. And they were all looking at me like, is Coach kidding? He ain't kidding. He walked off the field. Then we came back the next day and met, and I said, look, if you guys don't want to practice, just let me know. But don't fight. Don't fight. Somebody's going to get hurt. Because you guys don't want to fight anyway. I said, if you want to fight, I'll get some boxing gloves, and you guys can go in the gym, just you and the guy, and go fight. We're not going to put it on television. If you really want to fight, I said, you guys don't want to fight. You're just tired.
Man, that'd be rough and rowdy NFL edition would be something.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, Vrabel can handle himself.
Dude,
clearly.
You want to get the streaming numbers up? You get camera going in the practice facility. Some guys just start fighting.
Yeah, I mean, Vrabel's got the ice pack on his cheek at the rest of practice. I am curious, Coach, and Herm Edwards with us on OverDrive. As far as the Patriots go and what you think they could accomplish this coming season, how high are you on the Pats?
Well, I think they'll be more competitive. I do think they have a good quarterback. I believe that. I think he is a guy. And I said earlier in the season when the season first started, I said, just start the guy. Why are you guys waiting? Just start the rookie. You drafted him that high, start him. Now, they're in a division that when you look at them, okay, you say, are they better than the Buffalo Bills? No. Will they be competitive with the Jets? Yes, I do think the Jets will be better. The Dolphins, this is a big year for the Dolphins. But they can be competitive in that division. I don't think they win. I think the Bills are the best team in that division.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's excited for the Bills, especially here in the city of Toronto, not too far from Buffalo. And look, we kind of talked about it earlier about the Chiefs, the big bad Chiefs. Could this be the year that they maybe fall off? They've been to 6 straight AFC championships. When you look at kind of the top teams there in the AFC, Buffalo, Baltimore, the Chiefs, you could throw the Bengals in there. Maybe there's another dark horse team you like. How would you kind of power rank the top teams in the AFC?
Well, you mentioned them. I think the Chargers will be much better. I think the Broncos will be improved as well. Steelers, this is why they went and got Aaron Rodgers to win games in the playoffs, right? I mean, because Mike Tomlin can win 10 games, but now when they get in the playoffs, they need a quarterback, and that's why Aaron Rodgers is there. You got to win games in the quarterback in the playoffs. But when you think of the Chiefs, let's just close our eyes for a minute. And prior to the Chiefs, on the AFC side was Captain America, and that's the New England Patriots. Captain America's Tom Brady, and everyone had to go through New England when you got in the playoffs to go to the Super Bowl. And now it's the Chiefs' turn. Can the Buffalo Bills beat the Chiefs in the playoffs? Can the Ravens beat the Chiefs in the playoffs? Right? I mean, that's the bottom line at the end. Can you beat the Chiefs in the playoffs? Not in the regular season, but in playoff competition. And all these teams know that. Cincinnati Bengals can beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. And until you beat them, they're going to represent the AFC. That's just the way it is. And everyone knows that. The players know it on the offseason. To go to the Super Bowl, and you get in the playoffs, you're going to meet the Chiefs. Can you beat them?
You touched on the Steelers there, and I find the Aaron Rodgers thing fascinating for this reason. When he went to the Jets, it was noisy. It was, Rodgers is coming here, and he's bringing people in, and it's the Rodgers show. Now he's with the Steelers, and it's quieter. And I wonder, is that the market? Is that Pittsburgh versus New York? Or is that Tomlin? Like, Mike, you go there, and you're just bought into the Mike Tomlin program, and you just do your thing, and it's less noisy around you now.
Well, you said it. It's the program. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's Mike Tomlin. It's just what they do. The Steelers, that organization, it goes way back. When the era that I was playing, and it was Bradshaw and Franco Harris and Len Swan and all that, it was the Steelers. And the Steelers have a certain way of doing things. It doesn't change a whole lot, and you know it when you go to the Steelers. This is how they run this organization. That's why they've been so successful for so many years. And when you go there as a player, the culture is the culture. You're not changing the culture. Either you fit the culture or they'll find you up out of there. And they've gotten rid of some good players that eventually have been there for numerous years and just didn't quite fit. And they get them out of there. Mike Tomlin, when you think about Mike Tomlin, he's going to be the all-time winning coach in Steelers history.
Wild.
Yeah.
Wild. Well, 500-plus record
and
every single year.
They've only had 3 coaches.
That's exactly it. I know.
It's been a pretty good.
The previous coach was kind of a legend, too.
Yeah, and the one before him. Herm Edwards, the legend, with us here on OverDrive, ESPN analyst, former defensive back in the NFL. And I am curious, Coach, to know your thoughts on Travis Hunter, a guy who is expected to be a major factor on both sides of the ball for the Jacksonville Jaguars as the number 2 overall pick. How do you think this plays out for Hunter as far as his usage on both sides?
Well, I'm hoping that they use him correctly. And I said it during the course of the draft and just watching the kid, how he plays. He would play corner for me. He'd be my starting corner. And the reason for that, there's a couple of reasons. He tilts the field defensively for you now. You can put him, and I always did this. My best corner always played the number 2 guy. That way I could double the number 1 guy. And so if you threw it to the number 2 guy, I had my best corner on that guy. And a lot of times it ain't going to work out good for the offense. And what makes him so dangerous for me defensively, he takes the ball away. When you throw it to him, he can intercept the ball, and then you better go tackle him. If you can, he might score a touchdown. And then I would use him on offense some. I would give him maybe 15 plays, maybe some in the red zone, maybe some in third down. But that's how I would use him. But every coach wants to use him different. I know the kid wants to play both ways. That's physically probably impossible for him to do because it's the NFL. I mean, it's just too taxing on him. He'll shorten his career by trying to do that. So it'll be interesting to see how to use him. He's a fantastic football player, but even better than that, he's a great human being now.
Preseason action kicks off, I suppose, in a real way. The Hall of Fame game last week. We got the Colts, your Colts, Michael, and the Ravens, Bengals, Eagles, amongst other games tomorrow night. So we're getting closer to the regular season. Coach Edwards, thanks so much for doing this. Great to have you on the show. Hopefully we can catch up with you again soon.
My pleasure. Thank you, guys.
All right, that is Herm Edwards. Notice your eyebrows raised when my voice cracked there, Michael.
Yeah.
Well, we discussed this on the drive up. I think I am kind of losing my voice a little bit. I don't know how. I'm not
You're
sick.
okay.
I feel perfect.
You're a specimen.
I think I'm running the air conditioning a little bit too much in my condo. And
What is that
It's
AC
dry.
at?
It's significant, and it may be drying out the throat. I may need one of those humidifiers.
Well, let's hear how you pronounce the word Jaguars to Herm Edwards.
For the Jacksonville Jaguars. It wasn't that bad.
It's not. There's been worse crack up
there has been.
That wasn't hello. That was not the never knows.
Yeah,
Noodles
it was not.
Never know.
Well, Noodles was maybe a little bit hung after coming back from a rambunctious
You give
trip.
that one to me.
Never know. Yeah, there it is.
That one was tough.
It wasn't that bad, but yeah, I don't know what it is. I woke up today and I'm like, huh. I think I might be losing my voice.
Well,
it's a little concerning.
You got 3 more hours tomorrow.
And then we got 3 hours.
And then you got 4 hours in the morning
Well,
show.
we did have some guy who claimed I sound like Gilbert Godfrey yesterday.
I saw that, actually.
Yeah.
And I kind of took that as a compliment.
Thank
He's
you.
one of the best comedians
He's
ever.
a genius.
So if you sound
I
like
am a genius
him,
as well.
You're a
Thank you.
genius. You're a comedic genius. You're a radio genius. You do an excellent job on the show. So good for you.
I think you're a genius. I think you're a genius as well, Frank. That's very nice of you to say.
That's a stretch,
Very
buddy.
nice. Yes. Brad Gilbert, tennis genius, according to Doogie, and according to us as well. From ESPN, ahead of Vicky and Boko's massive semifinal match at the NBO today. We'll get his thoughts on Vicky, and we'll catch up with Brad Gilbert next.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
Hour 3 continues. Listen to the voice, fellas. It is back and better than ever. There's no Jaguars. There's nothing of that sort. It is in pristine condition. And I think we know the game of Vicky Mboko is also in pristine condition. In the midst of her match early against Rybakina, whose name I'm probably butchering. But I am so fired up to watch this match. We have absolutely fallen in love with this Mboko story, and hopefully she could triumph at the National Bank Open in Montreal. And I know we have a man on the line who's keeping very close tabs on this story as well. From ESPN, it is Brad Gilbert joining us here in Hour 3 of the show. Brad, good evening. How are you?
How you doing, buddy? You were close. It's Rybakina.
Rybakina.
We knew he was going to mess it up today.
I work for ESPN, and there'll be like 9 different pronunciations. They'll say Rybakina, she's changed it a couple times, but I think Rybakina is the easiest.
Yes, well, we're hoping we don't need to see Rybakina in action again. We want Mboko to go all the way. And we were having a conversation before the show about you, Brad, and how you call tennis matches and the way you analyze the sport. And our understanding is that you have a nickname for almost everybody in the sport. You try to come up with something. Do you have anything for Mboko in particular?
I will get something, and it's funny, some on Twitter love it, some on TV love it. Now I've been getting some hate lately. God, they think I'm too old, stop with the nicknames, and they go ballistic over it. It's like, I tell you, sometimes as you get older, you're glad you got older, but the internet and especially social media can be a cesspool. And did you see last night the girl that lost, Fidelina, the abuse that she got about losing?
Yeah. Well, I think
it just that's a really sad, part now of sports is that. But I will come up with a nickname for her. She's got an exciting future, a big game. I think Canada's got a good player up north that's got a real good chance to be top 10, top 5, and competing for slams.
Yeah. Well, some of the people we work with were saying it's just Vicky. It might just be as simple as she's Vicky, and she's having a lot of success. And I guess that's where, if you look at Canada's tennis, this was supposed to be, we were talking about this earlier in the show, the golden era of Canada's tennis, right? Like we thought maybe Bianca would have been healthier and winning. And on the men's side, we had all these prospects. And, now Vicky kind of represents that next wave of Canadian tennis players. Where do you see, Canada's tennis, the state of Canada's tennis at right now?
Don't forget Diallo, too. I think, he's got a chance to be a top 20 player. I think at the moment he might be your best male player. I thought FAA and Shapovalov would have done a lot better. A couple years ago, FAA has had a great year. Who knows if they can turn it around. Bianca, is another one you thought would have done, way more. But unfortunately in sports, the best availability is availability, and she hasn't had a lot of it, which makes it tough. Leylah Fernandez, after her run, listen, you just hope for healthiness and consistency. And if you can get that, then, things are off and running. And you've had some good players, but that one word of consistency is a tough thing to have it year in and year out.
Brad, to go back to Mboko here, is there anything that impressed you about her game in particular? Like, she went pretty deep into a tournament a couple of weeks ago and has done it again here this week at the National Open. Had a very impressive victory over number 1 seeded Coco Gauff. Like, what do you like about her game?
Well, so far, obviously she's got easy power. I can't quite tell how big she is. Is she about 5'10", about the same size as Coco, maybe a little bigger? Composure. Really good composure. And the other night against Coco in that game where she saved the 5 break points and then all of a sudden held that game and then broke to win the match, she showed really good composure and looked like she's enjoying, the moment. And those are all good signs. And I think that, there's parts of her game at 18 you look at and you go, wow, that there can be growth in some areas of her game and she can get a lot better.
Our guest is Brad Gilbert from ESPN, does a fantastic job covering the sport of tennis. And you've coached several top players in the sport, Brad. Agassi and Roddick and Murray, amongst many in the men's side. I'm curious to know where you think the game is at this point in time, because, of course, it's a little bit of a transition period from the dominant forces of the Djokovic's and the Nadals and the Federers. Where do you think the game is at the moment, Brad?
We're not in any transition. We're in the movement of Sinner and Alcaraz. And if I would have never have thought after Agassi and Sampras, we would have got the big three, big four. I thought after that, towards the end of Djokovic's, run, maybe we would have 5 years where it would be a tussle, where it'd be a lot of guys winning majors before it shakes out. But right now, Sinner and Alcaraz have won 7 straight. And if you told me over the next 10, what do you think the over-under would be of them winning the next 10? I might even say 9. That's how dominant they are right now. At Wimbledon, the odds of the big two, if you just got those two guys, Sinner and Alcaraz, you know what the odds were of them winning Wimbledon?
They were very, very, it was insanely, you had to pay a lot of money to get either of those two.
Minus 400. So that means if you took the other 126, you got plus 350. And it'll probably be much higher than that at the U.S. Open. And I promise you, if Sinner was in Canada this week, there's zero chance he wouldn't be in the semis right now, and I think they'd all be playing for second. So it's a great opportunity for the 4 guys that are there to make a deep run, to win the tournament, because Sinner and Alcaraz are not there, and that's how dominant they are at the moment.
It's been a good week for a couple Americans in Taylor Fritz and Ben Shelton. What can you say about their games and where they're at and the weeks they're having?
Well, great opportunity for Fritz, obviously, with the U.S. Open points coming off last year. And until a couple of months ago, until the last season, he hadn't had a good year. So he's totally turned around his season with a couple of wins of 250s and then semis at Wimbledon, now semis here. And playing solid. He's like one of those guys that, you kind of forget, oh, wow, he's in the semis. He's become a very solid, consistent player, and you're sitting there looking, if you look at the odds, he's probably the favorite now to win the tournament. But Ben Shelton at 22, I tell you, he's got a live arm. He's got an explosive serve. He played great ball, beating Demon Orr last night. So I think it's a big opportunity. I think who wins that match, I think will win the tournament.
Brad, thank you so much for your time. We're so fired up about the state of Canadian tennis, and you put it in such great perspective every time you join us on the station. Really appreciate it. Have yourself a great night.
Have a great night, and hopefully you guys get a win, and you'll be all jacked up for her progress through the U.S. Open.
Amen. Amen. Let's hope it happens. That is Brad Gilbert from ESPN. And early returns on Mboko. Not great in this match, but lots of time for Vicky to figure it out at Montreal.
Yeah, she can figure it out. But the last time that a Canadian won here, they went on to also win the U.S. Open. Andreescu.
Interesting.
Back in 2019. So, it's funny because there's a lot of parallels as to those two. Because I recall being totally ingrained in what was going on with Bianca and what was going on with that tournament. And right now, it's like the summer of Vicky. Last couple of weeks, because she seems to be going deep in tournaments right now.
And coming from literally nowhere, out of the blue.
Yeah. And now Brad's could be a top 5, 10 player in the world.
Starting the year, I think the ranking was 358th in the world. And now, who knows, she wins tonight, maybe wins the entire tournament.
You rocket up the boards.
The boards. And this is an unprecedented rise. Nobody saw this coming, but she just kept on winning and winning and winning. And now it's culminating in a very, very impressive run at a legit tournament at the NBO in Montreal. It's very exciting.
It's always all about consistency, right? Some of the Canadian players that had their moments, they had their moments and they couldn't keep it going.
And capitalize.
And then the greatest players that have done it for long periods of time, whether it was, Federer or Nadal and Djokovic, and now it's going to be Sinner and Alcaraz, their runs have been so long. It just really puts it into perspective, how amazing the greats are compared to the ones that, have a little bit of success and then they just, that's it. It fizzles out. Even someone like Andy Roddick was really good.
Yeah.
But he was swept up into the guys that were truly dominant, and it gets overshadowed.
And I think it also speaks to the difference in men's and women's tennis, too. Like in the men's game, historically, the last 20 years, it's been the
Dominated
three,
by
and then now it's Sinner and Alcaraz. The women's game, anybody can win.
At this point,
it just seems,
for
again,
a while it was Serena.
And Boko
it was only going to
just
be
beat
Serena for a
Coco
bit.
Gauff. And nobody saw that coming, but it just goes to show there's a lot more, maybe parity, you could call it. In men's tennis, I don't know what's
There's
better.
a lot of upsets in on the women's bracket over at Wimbledon, too.
And I don't know what's better for the sport and general fan interest. Is it to have the longevity and the greatness of a few, or the wide open nature of the women's game? And you can make cases for both. I think for us right now, it's clearly the latter. The parity is exactly what we want to see, because we're seeing these incredible runs from someone like Vicky and Boko.
We like that for the Canadian content, but as a fan of the sport, I want to know, I wanted the Tiger Woods effect.
Yeah.
I wanted to know that Tiger was playing for the green jacket on Sunday or playing for the Open. I think it's the same thing with tennis. When Alcaraz and Sinner are playing together in the final,
must watch.
That's must watch. And everyone has to see what is going on, because it's going to be an unbelievable match, or should be. I think you need to have the big dogs kind of being the big dogs. That really drives people to watching it.
Yeah, and that's going to be a lot of fun. We're very fired up for Mboka. We'll keep you updated throughout the course of the rest of this show as to how it all plays out. The Jays won 20-1. If you're just tuning in, they beat the Rockies 20-1. So 15-1 in the first game, 10-4 in the second, and then 20-1 in the third.
Stop the count.
That's a lot of runs.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's ugly. A day off for the Jays tomorrow. They'll take on the Dodgers, first of 3 on Friday. Also, the FedEx Cup playoffs beginning this week.
Here we go.
McElroy just a no-show. He's like, I'm good. I'm just going to skip the first week.
Yeah, why not?
Which I think is an interesting choice.
Did you see
Rory's done.
Morikawa's got another caddy?
How many caddies has this guy had?
His fifth caddy, I believe, of the season.
Fifth caddy?
Fifth caddy of the year.
Yikes.
Something like that. I thought I read that today. I hope I'm not getting duped by one of those weird accounts.
The Golf Centel account?
Yeah, that would not be good.
No.
I know he's had a lot of different caddies. There's no doubt about that. And he's just been trying to find it. He can't putt. The short game is just not there.
No,
for
he's got five caddies this year. His latest one is Tony Finau's former caddy.
Oh, okay.
But how about just play better?
That's what I'm
it
like.
Can't just
how
be
much
all
it could
on
be the caddy? After 4 guys roll through that's probably on the player and the mindset.
Yeah, I don't know what more you want from the caddy. I'm sure all these guys are very, very good at what they do. And if it was 1 or 2, okay, yeah. But 5 guys, it can't be 5 caddies that have messed up for you.
Colin, put the ball in the hole.
Yeah,
the end of the
simple
day.
as that.
That's what I'd say. Hire me on as a caddy. Put the ball in the hole.
There you go.
The amount of money these guys can win at the FedEx Cup, but I'm sure Scheffler will find a way to win it. And we know the starting strokes, the finale at the Tour Championship at East Lake is a little bit different this year than in past years. But Scotty Scheffler's going to be tough to beat. He seemed in very good spirits at his media availability today, and he shows up. Scheffler's won a lot, played a lot. McElroy, not there for the first week of the FedEx Cup
and
playoffs.
Scheffler talks, too. And he's very candid, very honest. McElroy had some moments this year where he was a little abrupt, but better times for him.
He's carried the water for the PGA Tour for a long time, McElroy. I think those days have come and gone. He's like, Scheffler, this ball is yours. I got this. I've had this for a while. You take it from here. We have Doogie's Surgical Bets, which did cash last night.
It did.
We'll see what he's got for us as we continue here in hour 3 of Overdrive. You're listening on TSN 1050, watching on TSN 2, and watching on TSN's YouTube channel.
Back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
Karolnik, Corrado, DiStefano around the table until 7 o'clock. It's time for Doogie's Surgical Bets powered by FanDuel. Make your picks, assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Doogie made Overdrive listeners a bunch of cash last night. The guy is a savant of the betting world. Here's what he's got tonight. The Braves money line. Christian Yelich to record a hit. Matt Olson to record a hit. And Spencer Strider. 5+ strikeouts, plus 290 on FanDuel. You know I'm emptying my entire bankroll on that, Doogie, and my mortgage.
Don't do
you
that.
better no, don't do that. Responsible gambling. That was a total joke, people. Total joke. Today's best bets powered by FanDuel. The first inning means as much as the ninth when you bet baseball on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly. 18+ and physically located in Ontario.
Does Doogie's not planning any WNBA bets?
No,
for anytime soon?
I don't think so.
No?
There's a lot of stuff happening with the WNBA.
There's some weird bets going on right now in the WNBA.
Well, Caitlin Clark hasn't been playing, and there's a new sensation at these arenas, which is a little bit inappropriate, I'd say. I'd say a lot.
There's some weird
inappropriate. Certain things, some things are being thrown on the court every single night. I don't know, maybe not every single night.
Not every single night. I think it's just
three occurrences.
Third time it's happened? Yeah.
Green things.
It's bizarre,
green things
man.
just coming out,
and it shouldn't be happening, but it's happening.
I did glance
bets now, and
to my
it's not
right,
good.
and seeing if Joe
good.
from the bridge was going to post some visual of.
No,
things.
please don't do that.
Please don't. This is a family show.
Yeah, we'll get in trouble for that.
This is a family show.
Do not do that.
One thing we won't get in trouble for doing is the filter after dark. Let's get to it.
No filter? Interesting. Surprised you don't have a filter.
Take it away, Al's brother.
A little toasty now with the ambiance over here.
Do you have a smooth jazz Al's brother filter voice?
I could probably cook something up.
Oh.
All right. We got a couple of
Filter
filters after dark. We'll stick with the NFL. Stick with some NFL football conversation here. One of James Cook, Micah Parsons, or Terry McLaurin will miss week 1 of the NFL season.
Send that.
Really?
Yeah, send that.
Who?
Which one?
It's tough to say. Maybe Cook? I don't think Parsons. Jerry Jones, for all his faults, has a tendency to bark a lot and eventually just capitulate and give the deal that the player's supposed to get.
Right.
So I think Parsons is playing week 1.
Yeah.
If you give me those 1 out of 3, I think you can send that.
Do you think all 3 are with their organizations come week 1? You think that Terry McLaurin could be
I think
trade eligible?
Keep in mind, Parsons and the Cowboys play on Thursday night. They're the first game of the season against the Eagles. So does that affect things? Possibly, I suppose. A couple of extra days that they don't have to work with. I do think it's most likely of the 3, James Cook is out for week 1, simply because the Bills don't need James Cook. Would they like to have James Cook? Absolutely. But if he is holding in and unwilling to play for whatever reason, this is not like Emmitt Smith in 1992 or 1994, whatever year it was, when he sits out the first 2 games with the Dallas Cowboys, and they need him. They lose the first 2 games, and they sign him, and they go on to win the Super Bowl, is what happened that season. This is not the same situation with James Cook.
But look at what happened. Was it last year or the year before when Chris Jones had his little holdout situation with the Chiefs? They played 1 game. They lost the opener to the Detroit Lions and realized, oh, crap, we need this guy. He is so vital to making everything work on this defense. We need him. The next day, he had a contract and was back in the building.
Amazing what that 1 game does for your leverage, hey?
That's it.
But if it goes the other way...
we see it happen is the thing.
Yeah, if it goes the other way, not ideal for the player. As soon as the team gets a sniff that, we can win without you.
Well, the one player that I would be concerned about that situation would be James Cook. And even in training camp, if you're missing out on some quality first-team reps, and if you see Ray Davis out there and he's able to find those holes and he's able to go out there, catch some passes out of the backfield and put up numbers and look like a quality back, that's the one guy I'd be concerned about giving opportunity to a younger player.
And the thing about Terry McLaurin in Washington, they have a rookie quarterback, a quarterback on a rookie deal. Jaden Daniels entering his second year is not making any money.
No.
So the way to maximize the value of a guy on a rookie deal is to surround him with stars. They bring in Deebo Samuel. you got to get McLaurin in the building, and you got to have him playing for you if you're Washington, because they have a lot of things stacked against them. They won a bunch of games last season in ways that were, let's call them unconventional. Not sure how sustainable or repeatable that could be in 2025 with Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. So they're going to need everything firing on all cylinders, including McLaurin, their best player, offensively, aside from Daniels, ready to rock.
I got another one for you. Shedeur Sanders will win the quarterback competition in Cleveland.
Well, you misspelled Shedeur, number one, on the filter there, his brother.
It wasn't me. That's why it's in the drafts. That's why it's in the drafts.
Yes, that is something that you should not send. You should end it, maybe even delete your account. How is he beating out Joe Flacco, Shedeur Sanders?
Why is Joe Flacco... Joe Flacco's not the future. He's not the future of the Browns.
Yeah, that's
he could be.
Sanders might not be the future either.
Sanders has a much better opportunity to be the future of the Browns than Joe Flacco.
That is fair.
The future, but like, who's going to help them win games?
It could be Shedeur Sanders.
You really think he's going to like be ready to jump in, playbook, lead these guys, run the huddle, 2-minute drill, all that stuff right away? Like, I don't. I think that's asking a lot and maybe putting him into a position where he's not going to be able to succeed, where Joe Flacco, you kind of just know what you're going to get, and you can game plan around that.
Comeback player of the year a couple of years ago, Joe Flacco. I think there's still something there. Do I think Cleveland will be any good? Absolutely not. Do I think Shedeur Sanders will start games this year? I do, because I think they're going to be absolutely dreadful, and I think it is in the best interest of the Cleveland Browns to lose football games at the end of the day and try to get that top pick.
You think that Shedeur will end up starting games because they want to be horrendous?
Well, I think they already will be so horrendous that it won't even matter.
But they'd be like, if you talk about the future of the organization, they'd be sacrificing the young player's future if they were to play him and have him get run over all year long.
Do you believe they look at Shedeur Sanders, like, do you think that they see any ounce of, like, starting quarterback, franchise quarterback in him?
They took Dylan Gabriel over Shedeur Sanders.
0.
The Cleveland Browns did.
This is true.
So I just struggled. I think that's a possibility. Again, he was highly, highly regarded.
Well, that's the confusing part about it. It's not necessarily, like, his ability didn't necessarily get him dropped to the 5th round. It was a lot of off-field stuff that got him to the 5th round. Like, this was Mel Kiper's first quarterback. He had him ranked as the number 1 quarterback in the draft, had him ranked as a top 10 prospect. He was going to the top 10 in the NFL draft. He dropped to the 5th round. No one saw that coming. Like, we are talking more about Shedeur Sanders this whole offseason than we have about Cam Ward, who went number 1 in the draft, which is insane. But there's a reason for it. Like, Shedeur Sanders is not some random 5th round quarterback journeyman. There is an actual potential that this guy could be a starter in the league if given the opportunity, the fair shake at it. Now, whether or not that's going to be in Cleveland, whether it's going to be week 1, week 8, week 14, we'll see. But I don't think that they look at Shedeur as some random, like, QB4 on their depth chart.
But doesn't he have
a chance to start games?
Doesn't he have to kind of, like, show differently? Like, he didn't interview particularly well. Like, that's what we grasped. That's the reason why he dropped all the way to the 5th round. Some of the interviews were a disaster. Doesn't he have to have some kind of turnaround here where he's showing up to the facility and you're watching him operate and you're like, that's a guy who can lead these men down the field when the chips are down? He's probably not there yet.
Well, most first round, like, most rookie quarterbacks aren't necessarily there when they walk into the building. It's something you do got to grow into.
He's going to have to earn
at the end of the day. Everyone's going to have to grow into that and earn that opportunity. But I think that he's at least a capable starter in the NFL, or could grow into that. You look at what his numbers when he was at Colorado. Like, the guy had like a
playing against garbage competition, but
it's a fair comment. But still, he had like a 76 completion rating. Like, the guy was actually a very accurate quarterback. He also was being chased all around everywhere. Like, if they have a decent offensive line in Cleveland, which they've had for a few years now, you give him a couple of seconds to throw to the pocket, maybe find something.
Maybe.
Did you guys see what the Browns owners said regarding him? Like, we played it last week when we were on the show. The owner was basically like, "That's the GM's pick."
Yeah,
I don't have anything to do with that. I wash my hands with that.
Affiliation with Shedeur Sanders. But that's Al's brother's guy. He loves Shedeur.
Apparently.
He loves Shedeur Sanders. Another guy I know you love, Al's brother, just a quick divergence from the filter, is Joey Loperfido. And we got to bring up this picture. Jeff Hoffman posted it on his Instagram last night as 2 Italian stallions. I know you guys love this. Chicken parm is an Italian's anti-inflammatory. Loperfido took a 98-mile-per-hour fastball off the knee, and
tough.
Look at that! Look at that chicken parm. I guess they've got good chicken parm in Colorado.
They got a nice spread there in the clubhouse. Beautiful.
How would you guys assess that chicken parm?
It's a good chicken parm.
Do we got a post show chicken parm that we can get cooking here? I'd love.
Dude, you got to put that call in at like 5, 6 maybe.
Loperfido took that ball mid game and was able to get that chicken parm.
That is a good point.
They got spreads, like they got chefs in the room making whatever you want.
It would be great if TSN had some kind of unbelievable spread. We walk out at OverDrive here, and there's just a pasta bar, perhaps.
And he's just like, AK, you want to take it?
You guys,
go?
you want the usual? That's an NHL. That's an NHL thing. How many meals did you cook yourself when you were in the NHL? Probably very few.
I made dinner every night when I was at home.
But you could have taken home food for dinner if you wanted.
I suppose I could have and thrown it in the fridge and heated it up, but there's like nothing to do at night, so you're like, I might as well make dinner.
Look.
What else am I doing?
Fair enough.
We need a National League setup here at TSN. Listen, if Duthie was hosting the show today, maybe there would be a pasta bar, but with Karolnik, there's nothing here.
You think Duthie hosting OverDrive brings a pasta bar?
Absolutely.
In here?
Well, he would
crazy
just.
stuff.
It might be in the contract.
Yeah.
Crazy.
A demand. It would be part of the demand.
It would be for Duthie in his dressing room. For him only.
I am getting pretty hungry after looking at that picture of Joey Loperfido.
I love a good.
Perhaps we should say goodbye.
You should grab a chicken parm tonight.
I might.
Yeah.
Fellas, it's been a blast. Frank, Al's brother, you guys are the best. Joe from the Bridge, Doogie, JP, a fantastic team at OverDrive. Al's brother, you and I back tomorrow at 4 p.m., buddy.
We'll chat then.